Chapter 34-45. The young man in white looked at the collapsed space-time tunnel and said in a deep voice, "No, we can't give up just like that. The sea beasts here must know. Go find a sea beast nearby and ask." "Yes." The middle-aged couple nodded, randomly found a direction and flew into the sky. The silver-haired woman looked at the middle-aged couple and her eyes flashed slightly. Then, she sent a voice transmission to the two old women beside her. "Go to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance." "Why are we going to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance?" The two old women were stunned. The people of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance must know where White Crane Island is. Instead of looking for those sea beasts, we might as well look for the three giants of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, the silver-haired woman thought to herself. When the two of them heard this, their hearts moved. One of them, an old woman, immediately opened a time transmission channel. Immediately after, the three of them turned and entered the space-time tunnel under the puzzled gazes of the others. At the same time, in the distance, three figures stood side by side. It was the Alliance Master and the other two. Amazing, this wolf cub. If not for the fact that they were afraid of being discovered by the young man in white and the others, the three of them would definitely burst out laughing. "Since they have escaped, let's go." The Alliance Master smiled, opened the space-time tunnel and turned to leave. But when they returned to the Alliance capital, which was the Deputy Alliance Master's courtyard, they immediately felt three powerful auras in the sky. The three of them hurriedly walked out of the courtyard and looked up. They saw the silver-haired woman and the two old women standing above the barrier. Why are they here again? The Deputy Alliance Master was surprised. Could it be that they are here to ask us about the location of White Crane Island? The Hall of Famers sent a voice transmission. "I'll say it one last time. If the three giants of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance don't come out, don't blame me for being impolite." One of the old women's face was covered in frost. Below, the Shunmang couple, the Great Elder, and the others were all rather nervous. They did not know that the Alliance Master and the other two had returned and did not dare to say that the three of them had left the Alliance capital, because if they did, it would easily arouse suspicion. What was worth mentioning was that Lu Jingyuan's figure could no longer be seen. Whoosh! The Alliance Master and the other two looked at each other and stepped out, landing in front of the Shunmang couple. Alliance Master, Old Yi Old Chi, Shunmang and his wife were very excited, as if they had seen their savior. At the same time, in the sky above a sea, the white-eyed wolf's several hundred feet tall body stood against the wind, emitting a monstrous ferocious aura. This was White Crane Island. However, White Crane Island had long been reduced to dust. Opposite, Horsetail Whisk, the Bronze Mirror, the black-clothed old man, and the madman stood together. Just as the young man in white had expected, Pei Tianhong released his spiritual force the moment he came out. He only heaved a sigh of relief when the teleportation portal collapsed. The white-eyed wolf looked at the black-clothed old man and grinned. "It's very safe here. Let's exchange directly." "All right." The black-robed old man nodded. In fact, he had no choice but to make the exchange now. This was because the copper mirror alone was no longer a threat to the Flywisk, the madman, and the others. The white-eyed wolf waved its claws and the soul of the second princess immediately flew towards the black-robed old man. The black-robed old man immediately stepped forward and grabbed the dragon soul. The bronze mirror also flew over to protect the two of them. In the meantime, White-Eyed Wolf landed beside Madman and the others. He looked at Madman and smiled proudly. "How is it? At the critical moment you still have to rely on me." Madman rolled his eyes and glanced at the black-robed old man in the bronze mirror. "What? You still want to kill him?" White-Eyed Wolf thought. "I do have that thought." Madman didn't deny it because there was no need. At this moment, the black-robed old man also noticed Madman's gaze and his heart shook. He quickly looked at the white-eyed wolf and the others and said, "Although it's only me and the black dragon mirror left, it won't be that easy for you to kill us." "I know." Madman nodded. Although they had Horsetail Whisk, Pei Tianhong, Wang Chongyuan, and the second commander on their side, the other side also had the black dragon mirror. If they fought head-on, the other side definitely wouldn't be able to beat them. But if the black dragon mirror took the black-robed old man and the second princess and wanted to escape, then they really wouldn't be able to do anything. because the speed of the black dragon mirror could only be compared to horsetail whisk. Even if they caught up, it would definitely be a battle of attrition. And the white-robed youth and the others definitely wouldn't give up. Right now, they were definitely thinking of ways to find the coordinates of White Crane Island. Once they got the coordinates, they would definitely charge over. At that time, the situation that they had worked so hard to salvage would be gone in an instant. So now the wisest thing to do was to leave. The black-robed old man said in a deep voice, "Since you know, then you should also know what the wisest thing to do is." Of course. But according to the actions of a normal playboy, shouldn't I say something before leaving? Madman smiled mockingly. You're joking, right? A person like you is still a playboy? The black-robed old man was helpless. If such an outstanding young man was still a playboy, then humans were too terrifying. All right, we don't need to play such a childish game, but there's something that I have to say. You dragons have really provoked someone you shouldn't have provoked. Madman smiled and waved his hand to open a space-time passage. Then he took the white-eyed wolf, Pei Tianhong, and the others and walked in without looking back. The black-robed old man looked at the backs of Madman and the others. For a moment it was as if he saw the shadows of several war gods. A sense of reverence uncontrollably emerged in his heart. He really wanted to suppress this feeling because to him this was a great humiliation. As a super powerhouse of the Dragon Clan, how could he have a heart of reverence for the human race? However, this feeling was impossible to get rid of. Could it be that he had really provoked someone he shouldn't have provoked? Whoosh! At this moment, a space-time passage appeared in the sky. The black-robed old man's heart tightened. He hurriedly looked up and saw the silver-haired woman walk out of the space-time passage with the two old women. Seeing that it was these three people, the black-robed old man let out a sigh of relief. He was afraid that the white-eyed wolf and the others would come back with reinforcements. Where are they? The silver-haired woman asked. Gone. The black-robed old man sighed. The silver-haired woman raised her eyebrows and asked, what about second sister's dragon soul? Saved. The black-robed old man smiled. In his eyes, as long as the second princess was fine, it was better than anything. That's good. The silver-haired woman chuckled. It seems that this group of people isn't so easy to deal with. If they were easy to deal with, they would have died in the Demon Land. The black-robed old man shook his head. But isn't this more interesting? The silver-haired woman had a playful look in her eyes. Then she looked at the black-robed old man and giggled. You and second sister both need to recover. Why don't you let us accompany you? The black-robed old man's pupils constricted and he waved his hand. We don't dare to trouble the little princess. With that, the black-robed old man looked at the bronze mirror. The bronze mirror understood and took the black-robed old man and disappeared at the end of the sea like lightning. What do they mean? I had good intentions and they suspected me? The silver-haired woman stomped her foot in dissatisfaction. Isn't that normal? It would be strange if he agreed. The two old women chuckled. The silver-haired woman pursed her lips, seemingly aggrieved. She looked at the two of them and asked, where are we going next? The two of them exchanged glances and chuckled. Where are we going? Did your highness already have a plan? You guys know me the best. Let's go. We'll return to the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance. The silver-haired woman said, we're going to the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance again? The two of them were stunned. Although they knew that the silver-haired woman already had plans, they did not know that they would have to return to the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance. That's right. Since the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance has fallen out with Qin Feiyong's group, Qin Feiyong's group will definitely find a chance to take revenge. Therefore, all we have to do is wait for them. The silver-haired woman chuckled. On the other side, the middle-aged couple caught two sea beasts as well. These two sea beasts were only half-step sovereigns. At that moment, the two sea beasts were extremely panicked against the white-robed young man's group. Let me ask you, where's White Crane Island? The white-robed young man stared at them, his face filled with hostility. White Crane Island. The two beasts were slightly stunned. It turned out that he was only asking them about the location of White Crane Island. They thought that he was going to do something to them, so they thought about it and shook their heads. I don't know. In fact, they knew. Although White Crane Island was just an ordinary island, The battle between Qin Feiyang's group and the Blood Hall on White Crane Island had already spread among the sea beasts of the heavenly cloud ocean. However, they were also nearby and saw Madman's group, so they guessed that these people asking about White Crane Island should be related to Qin Feiyang's group. When Qin Feiyang's group first entered the heavenly cloud realm, the beast god of the heavenly cloud ocean had already given the order that everything about Qin Feiyang's group was not to be mentioned to anyone. Therefore they hid it. You don't know? The white-robed young man raised his eyebrows and said angrily, "You are the sea beasts of the heavenly cloud ocean. How can you not know about White Crane Island?" "We really don't know. We do know all the famous places in the heavenly cloud ocean, but we have never heard of White Crane Island." The two beasts were anxious. Could it be that this White Crane Island is just an inconspicuous island in the heavenly cloud ocean? The white-robed young man looked at the blood-robed young man and the others. How would we know? The group smiled bitterly. It was their first time leaving the dragon nest, so they were not as familiar with the outside world as Qin Feiyang and the others. No. The white-robed young man was about to give up, but he suddenly looked at the two beasts and said in a deep voice, "Qin Feiyang's group fought with the Blood Hall on White Crane Island. Although I didn't see the battle with my own eyes, I can imagine that it must be a bloody battle. How can you not know?" "We really don't know." The two beasts shook their heads. Wasn't this making things difficult for them? "I think you are not telling the truth. Die." The white-robed young man's killing intent rose. But at this moment lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky, and a terrifying divine light suddenly fell. "This is the beast god's punishment." The two sea beasts were stunned for a moment before they were overjoyed. "Your Highness, be careful." At the same time, the middle-aged couple was also shocked. They hurriedly shouted and immediately unleashed their attacks to attack the divine light. Chapter 34-46. The others raised their heads to look at the divine light and frowned slightly. Who dared to attack them? Who was so bold to provoke the dragons? The divine light instantly arrived. The middle-aged couple was originally full of confidence. However, when they collided with the divine light, the couple's expression suddenly changed. They immediately screamed as their bodies exploded in the void. In just an instant, only their divine souls were left. It was simply terrifying. Not to mention the group of princesses and princes, even the group of followers and the sovereign divine weapon couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air when they saw this scene. One had to know that the couple were super experts at the perfect sovereign realm. It was too terrifying to be able to shatter their bodies in an instant. Especially the white-clothed young man. Because that divine light didn't stop and directly attacked him. Clang! Seeing that the white-clothed young man was about to die, the white dragon sword came back to its senses and instantly blocked the divine light above the white-clothed young man. It can actually block the beast god's punishment. The sovereign divine weapon is indeed different. However, this is the heavenly cloud ocean. No matter who dares to be presumptuous here, there's only one outcome: death. The two sea beasts looked at the white-clothed young man and sneered. As the sea beasts of the heavenly cloud ocean, they were very lucky and happy because they had the supreme existence of the beast god to protect them. Just like in the past, when the Blood Hall and Qin Feiyang fought on White Crane Island, they drove away the nearby sea beasts in advance. It could be said that they didn't have to worry about anything in the heavenly cloud ocean, and could live carefree for the rest of their lives. When the white-clothed young man heard the two beasts' words, he suddenly clenched his hands and the hostility between his eyebrows became stronger. Not only was he played by Qin Feiyang and the others time and time again, but now he was provoked by two sea beasts? How dare these sea beasts be arrogant in front of him? The anger in his heart was about to burn the sky red. The beast god's punishment? I'd like to see if it can stand shoulder to shoulder with the sovereign divine weapon. The white-clothed young man suddenly roared and slammed his palm toward the two beasts. The two beasts trembled. They didn't expect this person to be so bold. Even when the beast god's punishment had descended, he still dared to attack them. One had to know. Generally speaking, once the divine beast's punishment descended, no one would dare to continue to act recklessly in the sea of heavenly clouds. Why didn't these people act according to common sense? However, at this moment, there was a loud bang. The surging lightning in the sky was like a waterfall pouring down in torrents, releasing a destructive aura. White dragon sword. The white-clothed young man shouted. He did not believe that this bullshit sanction could block the divine might of the white dragon sword. The white dragon sword recovered in an instant and slashed towards the lightning with the power to destroy the world. At this moment, the sovereign divine weapons in the bodies of the princes and princesses all released a barrier to protect their people. The white-clothed young man also gave up on killing the two sea beasts. He took the middle-aged couple's souls and rushed to the side of the red-clothed young man. This was because he didn't even need to do anything. The two sea beasts would die under the white dragon sword's sharpness. After all, they were only half-step sovereigns. How could they block the divine might of a sovereign weapon? However, sometimes you can't do whatever you want. A boundless aura descended and enveloped the two sea beasts with lightning speed. However, the two sea beasts disappeared without a trace in an instant. Bastard! When the white-clothed young man saw this, he was instantly enraged. To him, even if they were just two insignificant sea beasts, it was unforgivable for them to be rescued from under his nose. Boom! The white dragon sword and the lightning finally met. There was an earth-shattering explosion, and a destructive aura surged out in all directions like a torrent of wild beasts. Then, a terrifying scene appeared. The lightning seemed to contain an earth-shattering power, and it sent the white dragon sword flying. What? Everyone from the dragon clan who was present at the scene was agitated. It could send a sovereign divine weapon flying? What was that? However, it was not over yet. The lightning fell crazily and hit the barrier that the blood dragon sword had activated. Boom! The barrier was immediately distorted. When the white-clothed young man, the red-clothed young man, and their followers saw the lightning crazily attacking the barrier, their eyes widened in anger. This was because they felt the threat of death looming over them. What kind of power was this? How could it be so powerful? Beast God, please calm down. The two followers behind the red-clothed young man could no longer suppress the fear in their hearts. They looked up at the sky and roared. However, there was no sound in the sky. Rumble! This lightning really did contain the power to destroy the world. With a loud crack, the barrier formed by the blood dragon sword shattered on the spot. The terrifying lightning instantly enveloped the six of them. Ah! Screams immediately sounded. Seeing this, the other princes and princesses, as well as their followers, all became extremely nervous. When the dust settled, the middle-aged couple's divine souls were not damaged. However, the white-clothed young man, the red-clothed young man, and the two followers behind the red-clothed young man had their physical bodies shattered. Only their divine souls were left. Naturally, the blood dragon sword was not damaged. However, at this moment, one could clearly sense a trace of fear and anger in the emotional fluctuations it was emitting at this moment. It was also considered a member of the dragons. Now, this so-called beast god had shattered the flesh of a few people in front of it. It was equivalent to challenging its authority. At this moment, above the sky a cold voice sounded. This is just a lesson, but if there is a next time, then don't blame me for not giving face to your Dragon King. The voice was not very loud, but it was like a heavenly bell, echoing in the sky for a long time. What? It knows Lord Dragon King? The group of people were surprised and bewildered. Even the sovereign's divine weapons could not help but be shocked. However, the voice did not appear again, and the sea here gradually returned to its calm state. The middle-aged couple retracted their gaze and looked at Bai Longjian. They said in a deep voice, "It's not good to stay here for long, let's go." They did not expect that such a terrifying existence was hidden in the sky cloud sea. Not to mention anything else, just the fact that the other party knew the existence of Lord Dragon King was enough. Because Lord Dragon King had always been in the dragon nest, only a few people in the sky cloud realm knew about it. Moreover, listening to the tone of the beast god, it seemed that there was a connection between him and Lord Dragon King. Obviously, this was not an ordinary person. Black Tortoise Realm. Welcome back, heroes. Fire Lotus stood in the sky above the Devil's Land, looking at the Horsetail Whisk, Madman and the others. Hero. Madman was slightly taken aback, gritting his teeth. It seems that I will have to change my name to Hero Mo. Hero. I think you should be called Black Bear. The white-eyed wolf disdained. You, Madman stared at the white-eyed wolf angrily. What? Have you forgotten who risked their lives to save you from the dragons? The white-eyed wolf said. Madman's expression stiffened, and he said angrily, "Fine, fine, fine, you're the best this time, I'm convinced. What's the situation?" Fire Lotus looked at Madman and the white-eyed wolf in confusion. "Don't say what the situation is first." The white-eyed wolf looked at the castle below and asked, "It has been staying here all this time?" Fire Lotus nodded. The white-eyed wolf was stunned. "You didn't tell it to support us?" "Yes. But it said that since the other side has a ruler's weapon, there is no point in it rushing over, so it told you to fend for yourselves." Fire Lotus smiled bitterly. "Damn you!" The white-eyed wolf heard this and cursed in anger. Madman, Pei Tianhong and Fu Whisk were also speechless. What happened to living and dying together? "You can't be like this." Fire Lotus smiled and looked at the white-eyed wolf. "You can't blame me for this, you know the castle's temper. Even Qin didn't retreat, let alone me." I know, I don't blame you." The white-eyed wolf looked at the castle and snorted. "As expected, you have to rely on yourself, others rely on you, especially some old fogies." The castle heard it but didn't care. Fire Lotus looked curiously at the white-eyed wolf and Madman, asking, "Then how did you escape?" "It's a long story." Madman shook his head. Suddenly, a mighty karma law suddenly burst out. The group of people quickly looked at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang was still sitting cross-legged in the air with his eyes closed, his expression as peaceful as if he had fallen into a deep sleep. But at this moment, the karma law in his body emerged uncontrollably. He couldn't have comprehended the karma law's supreme mystery, right? Madman was surprised. "That is possible." Pei Tianhong nodded. Before his voice faded, a dazzling golden light appeared and then a palm-sized golden lotus appeared in front of Qin Feiyang. Although it was small, it contained a shocking divine power. Immediately after, the second one, the third one, the fourth one continued to appear. Finally, 10 golden lotuses appeared around Qin Feiyang's body. Each of the golden lotuses was like a golden sun. They revolved around Qin Feiyang and danced in the air, emitting dazzling divine light. "Damn you! 10 golden lotuses. This is the supreme mystery of the karma law." Madman roared. This bastard actually comprehended the supreme mystery of the karma law. This is too unreasonable. He had just received the inheritance of the supreme mystery of the destruction law. And now he comprehended the supreme mystery of the karma law. In other words, Qin Feiyang had already mastered 2 supreme mysteries. What was even more excessive was that White-Eyed Wolf also had the supreme mystery of the 3 supreme laws. But now, he didn't even have a single supreme mystery. This made his heart quite uncomfortable. Swish! Right at this moment, Qin Feiyang opened his eyes and 2 rays of divine light burst out. Looking at the 10 golden lotuses around him, his entire person was glowing and his spirit was hale and hearty. Comprehending the supreme mystery of the karma law was also somewhat beyond his expectations. Originally, he thought that he would at least have to wait until he broke through to the sovereign realm before he had the chance to comprehend the supreme mystery, but he didn't expect the surprise to come so quickly. As soon as he left the Demon Land, he comprehended the supreme mystery of the karma law. This undoubtedly laid a certain foundation for facing dragons in the future. Chapter 34-47. Tisk tsk. We're risking our lives outside, but you're comprehending the supreme mysteries here. Doesn't your conscience hurt? The white-eyed wolf smacked his lips and asked. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He turned his head to look at the white-eyed wolf, Frenzy, and the others and smiled. You're all here. As soon as he finished speaking, he looked at the second commander. His expression stiffened as he asked suspiciously, He is? Why did he look exactly like him? The second commander hurriedly took a facial restoration pill and recovered his true appearance. He bowed and said, I've offended you. Please forgive me. Xiu. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He looked at the white-eyed wolf and said, What's going on? What else? If it weren't for my intelligence, you wouldn't even have the chance to collect our corpses. The white-eyed wolf pursed his lips. Collect corpses? The more Qin Feiyang listened, the more puzzled he became. You really don't know anything? Frenzy sized up Qin Feiyang. My consciousness was all immersed in the epiphany, so I didn't pay attention to the outside world. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Then you really have to reward us. Frenzy smiled bitterly. He was really relaxed. What's going on? Don't keep me in suspense. Hurry up and tell me. Qin Feiyang urged. Fire Lotus glanced at Frenzy and the others, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, "It's like this." Immediately, she told him everything that had happened in detail. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang's eyes were filled with shock. He didn't expect that this epiphany would take so long. He thought that it would only take a short while. He also didn't expect that Frenzy and the others would take such a huge risk in order to help the rogue cultivators escape. Then how did you escape? Qin Feiyang quickly asked after coming back to his senses. Little Wang Zi, you tell him. The white-eyed wolf looked at Wang Chongyuan and said. He then took out a jar of black tortoise divine brew and drank a few mouthfuls to calm his nerves. It's like this. Wang Chongyuan looked at Qin Feiyang and told him everything that had happened. Hearing this, not only Fire Lotus, but even Qin Feiyang couldn't help but shudder in fear. Although he didn't see it with his own eyes, he could imagine just how dangerous the situation was for the madman and the others. I didn't think that each of them would have a ruler's weapon. This is a bit difficult to deal with. Fire Lotus exclaimed. It's not just difficult. There's no way we can fight them head-on. Qin Feiyang shook his head. In the past, even a sovereign weapon was hard to come by. If he had a sovereign weapon in his hand, he would be able to sweep through everything. But now, several of them had popped out. No, not just a few. If the dragons of the Sky Cloud realm were the same as the dragons of the ancient realm and had 10 major races, then there should be 10 princesses and princes. Each of them would have 10 rulers' weapons. And this was just these princes and princesses. Maybe there were other rulers' weapons in the hands of the dragons. If a single dragon had so many rulers' weapons, how could they play? When did rulers' weapons become so cheap? Pei Tianhong shook his head and said, to be honest, it's all thanks to Brother Wolf this time. Otherwise, as the castle said, even if he rushed over, it would be meaningless. They were also panicking about the dragon's foundation. Don't panic. The dragons are indeed powerful. Even if the humans of the Sky Cloud realm unite, it's impossible to defeat them. But we're different. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with a cold light. Pei Tianhong and the others were stunned and couldn't help but look at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. We have the Black Tortoise realm. As long as the Black Tortoise realm exists, we have the chance to cultivate a ruler's weapon. So now what we need the most is time. Not only do we need time to become stronger, those heaven-defying artifacts also need time to evolve into rulers' weapons, Qin Feiyang said. Hearing this, everyone's lost confidence couldn't help but return. It's been hard on you this time. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and looked at the second commander with a smile. Go find Dan Wangkai and let him help you open the door of potential. Thank you, young master. The second commander was overjoyed. Although they had experienced such a risk, as long as they could open the door of potential, it was worth it. Qin Feiyang looked at Madman and shook his head with a smile. I know you're uncomfortable. You stay in the Black Tortoise realm and focus on comprehending the profound. I'll take care of the rest. Do I need you to say that? I originally planned to stay in the Black Tortoise realm and cultivate in seclusion. If I don't comprehend a profound this time, I won't step out of the Black Tortoise realm. Madman clenched his fists. Unknowingly, not only had Qin Feiyang caught up, but he had also surpassed him. How could this be? He could lose to anyone, but he definitely couldn't lose to Qin Feiyang. That's fine. Old Pei, Old Wang, you two rest for a while. White-eyed wolf, come with me. Qin Feiyang said. I also need to rest. White-eyed wolf hurriedly roared. What are you resting for? Qin Feiyang grabbed White-eyed wolf's tail and left the Black Tortoise realm with his horsetail whisk. Wang Chongyuan was stunned and turned to Pei Tianhong, asking suspiciously, why are they going out now? They still need to deal with the aftermath. Pei Tianhong smiled. Aftermath? Wang Chongyuan was stunned. Yeah. Since the Rogue Cultivator Alliance betrayed us, we naturally have to take revenge on them. Otherwise, this show wouldn't be real. Pei Tianhong said. I see. Wang Chongyuan nodded in realization. Pei Tianhong pondered for a while, then looked at Fire Lotus and said, Miss Fire Lotus, there's something I need your help with. My help? Fire Lotus was stunned and asked in confusion, What is it? It's. Pei Tianhong hesitated for a while, then gritted his teeth and said, I only have one son and one daughter. I don't want them to be restricted in the middle state for the rest of their lives. Fire Lotus thought for a while and asked, You mean you want me to tell Qin Dage to let Pei Dason and Pei Hongyu go to the Devil's Land? No. The cultivation environment in the Black Tortoise realm is similar. There's no need to go to the Devil's Land. I just want you to help and see if you can open the door of potential for them. As long as they open the door of potential, when they become stronger, they will naturally be put in an important position by the young master. Pei Tianhong said. I see. Fire Lotus shook her head and smiled. I really can't help you with this. Pei Tianhong couldn't help but feel disappointed. Actually, this still depends on your performance. Although Qin Dage doesn't like to talk about some things, he sees what you do. When he feels that he can help you, you don't need to say anything, he will take the initiative to ask. Fire Lotus smiled slightly. All right. Pei Tianhong nodded. Although it was a bit far away, it was better than having no hope. Outside. Brother really needs to recuperate. Listen to this. My heart is still thumping. I'm scared to death. The white-eyed wolf glared at Qin Feiyong and roared. Enough. Stop acting. Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes. Why don't you think of brother when there's something good? The white-eyed wolf had no choice but to complain. What do you mean? Don't tell me that your 3 supreme laws of nature came from the wind. Besides, you're not weak now. If you want to continue plundering other people's laws, even if you don't do it yourself, you should at least do it. Qin Feiyong said in annoyance. Hearing this, the white-eyed wolf rolled his eyes and looked at Qin Feiyong in surprise. Listening to what you said, you're planning to kill those followers. That's not nonsense. Since we've already formed a grudge, it doesn't matter how many I kill. Qin Feiyong sneered. Hearing this, the white-eyed wolf immediately became spirited. He threw away the wine jar in his hand and roared, Then hurry up. Qin Feiyong looked at the divine wine spilled below and the corner of his mouth twitched. What a waste. He glared at the white-eyed wolf and said, This kind of thing can't be rushed. You have to find an opportunity slowly. Why didn't you say so earlier? The white-eyed wolf glared fiercely at Qin Feiyong and took out another jar of Black Tortoise divine wine. How much Black Tortoise divine wine do you have on you? Qin Feiyong frowned. It's none of your business. The white-eyed wolf turned his head and continued drinking. Qin Feiyong couldn't help but feel powerless, but there was nothing he could do. Who told him to get involved with this bastard? After pondering for a while, Qin Feiyong let the horsetail whisk enter his chi-si, and then let the white-eyed wolf take him to Sky Cloud Island. Since the final battle took place on Sky Cloud Island, the little rabbit should know the whereabouts of the dragon's group. Sky Cloud Island. It was as quiet and peaceful as ever, like a paradise. Big brother. Arriving in the sky above Sky Cloud Island, Qin Feiyong saw the little rabbit holding a jar of wine and lying on a bluestone at the top of the mountain. She was leisurely drinking wine while resting on her little rabbit legs. Too comfortable. Even Qin Feiyong was envious. The white-eyed wolf took a sip of the Black Tortoise divine wine, then looked at the little rabbit and muttered, At this time, if there's a plate of stir-fried rabbit meat, or a whole roasted rabbit, it should taste good. What are you muttering? Qin Feiyong looked at it suspiciously. Nothing. The white-eyed wolf quickly waved its paws. What a joke! If the little rabbit knew, it wouldn't be roasted rabbit meat, but fried wolf meat. Little brother? Seeing Qin Feiyong, the little rabbit was stunned at first, then immediately got up and rushed in front of Qin Feiyong. Looking at the Black Tortoise divine wine in the white-eyed wolf's hand, it swallowed a mouthful of saliva and looked at Qin Feiyong, urging, Hurry up, take out your Black Tortoise divine wine. Qin Feiyong shook his head and laughed, glancing at the white-eyed wolf. Didn't you hear? Why are you looking at me? I don't have any Black Tortoise divine wine. The white-eyed wolf shook its head. Keep pretending. Qin Feiyong sneered. The little rabbit also looked at the white-eyed wolf. Very directly, a flame appeared. What are you doing? The white-eyed wolf quickly retreated. I've eaten a lot of roasted lambs, but I haven't tried a roasted wolf. I wonder how it tastes. The little rabbit bared its fangs. What the hell? You actually thought of the same thing as me? The white-eyed wolf was astonished. What? Thinking of the same thing. The little rabbit was stunned. Qin Feiyong was also stunned. Chapter 34-48. Oh no. The white-eyed wolf's eyelids twitched. What a fool. It actually exposed its inner thoughts. Who didn't know about the little rabbit's methods? If the little rabbit knew that it had the idea of roasting a rabbit, it would definitely not have a good ending. The little rabbit pondered for a while, looked at the white-eyed wolf and asked, "You also want to try the taste of roasted wolf meat?" Ah? The white-eyed wolf was stunned. Try the taste of roasted wolf meat? What was going on? It was so obvious, but it didn't understand. Could it be that the little rabbit didn't understand what it meant? Seemed that its IQ wasn't much. The white-eyed wolf smiled obsequiously. Yes, I also want to try, but don't look for me, my old meat is smelly and sour, it doesn't taste good. The little rabbit rolled its eyes. The white-eyed wolf felt that the matter was over and wanted to get closer. But the little rabbit frowned and shook its head. No, that's not what you mean. Then it lowered its head and pondered. That's what I mean, don't think about it. Isn't it just black tortoise divine brew? There's a lot. The white-eyed wolf waved its paw, and a pile of black tortoise divine brew immediately appeared in front of the little rabbit. Like a small mountain, there were at least 500 to 600 jars. So much? Qin Feiyong looked at the white-eyed wolf in astonishment. It's nothing. The white-eyed wolf smiled embarrassedly. After the little rabbit saw the black tortoise divine brew, it didn't probe further. Its eyes lit up, and it immediately threw it into the original jar, hugged a jar of black tortoise divine brew, and drank it. This was what wine was. If it wanted to drink, it had to drink divine brew. Looking at the intoxicated little rabbit, Qin Feiyong shook his head and laughed. Big brother, there's something I want to ask you. Just say it. The little rabbit said as it drank. Qin Feiyong said, You should know about the battle that happened on White Crane Island, right? I know. The little rabbit nodded. The white-eyed wolf was stunned, and immediately said angrily, If you know, why didn't you come and help us? Are we still brothers? Aren't you guys still alive and well? The little rabbit pouted. When the white-eyed wolf heard this, he glared fiercely at little rabbit. Why was she the same as Gu Bao? Qin Feiyong asked. Then do you know who they are? Of course I do. Dragons. There was a trace of disdain in the little rabbit's eyes. Since you knew, why didn't you tell me before? Qin Feiyong was suspicious. Why should I tell you? To court death? The little rabbit rolled her eyes at Qin Feiyong. She drank a mouthful of black tortoise divine brew, and then said, I say, you brat, just calm down. The dragons are still people you can provoke right now. We didn't provoke them. They were the ones who took the initiative to attack. We went to the Devil Land purely to find the fire dragon. Who would have thought that we would provoke them? Qin Feiyong also looked aggrieved. All right. Don't put on a pitiful look to gain sympathy. Besides, even if you look at Uncle Rabbit with tears in your eyes, Uncle Rabbit won't help you deal with the dragons. Little Rabbit shook her head. Why? Don't tell me even you are afraid of them. The white-eyed wolf said. It's not a matter of whether I'm afraid or not. Little Rabbit pondered for a while, shook her head and said, There are some things that you won't understand even if I tell you. If you don't tell us, we definitely won't understand. The white-eyed wolf was speechless. I find that you, little wolf, need to be taught a lesson. Little Rabbit suddenly looked at the white-eyed wolf with bad intentions. No. The white-eyed wolf hurriedly waved his paws and smiled flatteringly. Little Rabbit rolled her eyes, looked at Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf and said, Let's put it this way. I'm afraid one reason is that the dragons are too strong, and Uncle Rabbit can't provoke them. The other reason is the beast god. Beast god? Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other. So this little rabbit is really not the beast god of the heavenly clouds sea? Yes. The beast god has set 2 rules. The first, you are not allowed to intervene in the affairs of the 4 continents. The second, you are not allowed to have any friction with the creatures of the 4 forbidden areas, including the dragons. Little Rabbit said, What? The creatures of the 4 forbidden areas? Qin Feiyong was shocked. Could it be that the other 3 forbidden areas also have a mysterious race hidden? Huh. Little Rabbit was taken aback for a moment, then slapped her mouth fiercely, and said angrily, Drinking is really bad. I accidentally let it slip. Ahem. After saying that, she coughed dryly, looked at Qin Feiyong and said, just treat it as Uncle Rabbit farting. Qin Feiyong's face twitched, and he was extremely speechless. In short, Uncle Rabbit doesn't care what you want to do, but if you want Uncle Rabbit to help you, it's absolutely impossible. Little Rabbit shook her head and said while drinking the divine wine. Hearing this, the white-eyed wolf looked at Qin Feiyong and said angrily, Little Qin Zi, you actually became sworn brothers with such a disloyal guy? You must be blind. Qin Feiyong was helpless. Was this a choice he could make? At that time, it was Lunatic who forced him to become sworn brothers. Besides, Little Rabbit had actually helped them a lot over the years. Take the destruction of the Blood Hall for example. If it weren't for Little Rabbit restraining Ice Dragon, would they have been able to successfully destroy the Blood Hall? In short, they had to be grateful to Little Rabbit. Don't use this kind of trick to provoke Uncle Rabbit, it's useless. Little Rabbit glanced at the white-eyed wolf indifferently. You're even more thick-skinned than me. The white-eyed wolf muttered, but there was nothing he could do. But, Little Rabbit thought for a while, looked at Qin Feiyong, and said with a grin, if I don't help, then as a big brother, I really don't know how to be a person. Qin Feiyong immediately looked at Little Rabbit, his eyes full of expectation. Although Uncle Rabbit can't interfere in your battle, it didn't say that I can't help you cultivate your forces. Go and pick some talented people for Uncle Rabbit. I promise to cultivate a group of super strong people for you, Little Rabbit said. Qin Feiyong was pleasantly surprised when he heard this. Although he didn't know the true strength of the little rabbit, he knew that it was no ordinary being. It was able to restrain the ice dragon, and had a time formation that lasted 5,000 years in a day. It was also able to raise the spacetime step and Spectre Ghost steps to the Paragon level in a very short time. With Little Rabbit's help, it would definitely be twice the result with half the effort. However, the white-eyed wolf pursed his lips and said disdainfully, I thought it was something else? Just this? I don't care. Little Rabbit looked at the white-eyed wolf. Big brother, don't listen to it. It's fine as long as I care. Qin Feiyong hurriedly said, not forgetting to glare at the white-eyed wolf. You don't care because you can snatch the power of laws, but what about others? I can't throw away this rare opportunity because of you. Little Rabbit glanced at the white-eyed wolf, then looked at Qin Feiyong and said with a smile, Kid, you have good eyesight. Who knows how many people in the Sky Cloud realm want to be Uncle Rabbit's disciple, but Uncle Rabbit doesn't care about them and finds it troublesome. Yes. Qin Feiyong nodded. Anyway, kid, whatever Little Rabbit says is right. Little Rabbit smiled proudly and then said, however, it can't be too many because it's really troublesome. How about this, at most 100 people? 100 people? Qin Feiyong frowned. Little Rabbit said, be content. This is also because we are sworn brothers. Otherwise, Uncle Rabbit wouldn't be bothered with you. Just a little bit more. Qin Feiyong looked at Little Rabbit with a pleading gaze. Little Rabbit frowned and asked, then how many do you want? 10,000. Qin Feiyong said without hesitation. What? 10,000? Why don't you kill Uncle Rabbit? Little Rabbit rolled its eyes. 10,000 people, do you want to tire it to death? Qin Feiyong smiled embarrassedly and said, then how about 9,000? I really can't do anything to you, at most 1,000 people. Little Rabbit said. Qin Feiyong said helplessly, Big brother, this isn't a business deal and you still want to bargain? Why don't we just set the price 8,000? Little Rabbit was stunned. Didn't he say that this wasn't a business deal? Why did he set the price directly? Hypocritical kid. Big brother, please help me out. You see, the dragons are so strong. I'm alone and have no way to fight with them. Actually, there aren't many people in my Black Tortoise world. 6,000 dark guards, 10 commanders Pei Tianhong, and the people around me there are less than 7,000 people in total. Qin Feiyong looked at the little rabbit pitifully. He almost ran up to her and acted like a spoiled child. We're all brothers, why are you bargaining like this? At most, we'll pay for your wine in the future. White-eyed Wolf said. Do you think that Uncle Rabbit is greedy for your Black Tortoise divine brew? With Uncle Rabbit's status wherever I go, won't I be treated with the highest standard? Little Rabbit said with disdain. White-eyed Wolf nodded and said, yes, you're the best, but those people basically have ulterior motives. We're different, we're talking about true feelings. True feelings? Little Rabbit's mouth twitched, speechless. You really dare to say that? Isn't it? Have you seen people as sincere as us? White-Eyed Wolf pursed his lips. Little Rabbit looked at White-Eyed Wolf, then looked at Qin Feiyong, raised its head and gulped down a large jar of Black Tortoise Divine Brew, nodding, all right, I really admire you. Uncle Rabbit will work hard for a while. Thank you, big brother. Qin Feiyong quickly cupped his fists and thanked it. Don't be so polite. Black Tortoise Divine Brew, make sure you have enough. Also, I'll help you now, but in the future when I need help, you have to be at my beck and call. Little Rabbit said indifferently. That's a must. Qin Feiyong patted his chest and vowed, in the future, if Big Brother needs anything, just say the word. Little brother will go through water and tread on fire. Stop. Little Rabbit quickly raised its paw and stopped Qin Feiyong, then smiled helplessly. Then Uncle Rabbit will go and arrange it. Send him over 3 days later. Okay. Qin Feiyong nodded. By the way, let me tell you another news. Little Rabbit raised the corner of its mouth and sneered. Beast God made a move just now. What? Beast God made a move. Qin Feiyong and White-Eyed Wolf were shocked. That's right. Those dragons are too arrogant. They actually dared to attack the sea beasts of our heavenly cloud sea. As a result, Beast God's punishment came and several of them had their bodies destroyed. Little Rabbit said. Amazing! Qin Feiyong exclaimed. These dragons' princesses and princes all had sovereign divine weapons, but even so, their bodies were destroyed by Beast God. This strength was really amazing. Chapter 34-49. Of course, if the Beast God is not powerful, how can he intimidate everyone and make the heavenly cloud sea so peaceful? The little rabbit smiled proudly. That's true. Qin Feiyong nodded and asked, then where are they now? I don't know, but at that time they were running away from the heavenly cloud sea with their tails between their legs. The little rabbit shook its head. Haha, I can imagine how miserable they were at that time. The white-eyed wolf laughed. Qin Feiyong looked at the white-eyed wolf and pondered for a while, then looked at the little rabbit and said, in that case, the heavenly cloud sea will be an absolutely safe place in the future? The little rabbit was slightly stunned and hurriedly asked, what do you want to do? Don't tell me you want to settle down in the heavenly cloud sea? I have this idea. Qin Feiyong smiled. Scram. Don't bring trouble to the heavenly cloud sea. Otherwise, when the beast god blames you, even I can't protect you. In short, no matter what you do in other places, you must not break the peace here. The little rabbit looked at Qin Feiyong with an extremely serious expression and warned, all right. Qin Feiyong smiled awkwardly. The little rabbit had already said so, what else could he say? In fact, it was understandable. Just like in the Black Tortoise world, he didn't want anyone to break the peace of the Black Tortoise world. The white-eyed wolf looked at Qin Feiyong and asked, then we're going to the Western continent now? Qin Feiyong nodded. Then are we going directly to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance or? The white-eyed wolf asked. We can't go directly to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. What if the dragons expect us to take revenge on the Rogue Cultivator Alliance and set up an ambush there in advance? Then wouldn't we be walking right into their trap? Qin Feiyong pondered for a while and smiled. Let's go to Maple Valley first and see the situation. All right. The white-eyed wolf nodded and opened a space-time legendary passage. At the same time, Rogue Cultivator Alliance. You have such a strong lineup? They actually let them escape from White Crane Island? I shouldn't have trusted you. What should I do now? They will definitely come for revenge. In the courtyard, the Alliance Master, Vice Alliance Master, and Hall of Famers glared at the silver-haired woman and her two companions. Don't get so worked up. People make mistakes, horses stumble. This is a very normal thing. Besides, we've come to the Alliance capital again precisely to wait for them to come for revenge. The silver-haired woman smiled. With just the three of you? Do you really not know how terrifying Qin Feiyong is? 2 sovereign-level divine weapons and a slaughter domain comparable to a sovereign-level divine weapon. If they really came prepared, you are no match for them. I'm such a fool. I actually believed your nonsense. No. I can't just sit here and wait for death. Old Qi, give the order to transfer all the disciples and resources. I can't stay here any longer. The Alliance Master glared at the three women before turning to the Vice Alliance Masters and said in a deep voice, "All right." The two Vice Alliance Masters nodded. "Wait." The silver-haired woman raised her eyebrows. "What do you want?" The Alliance Master glared at her angrily. The silver-haired woman sneered. "You want to transfer them after provoking Qin Feiyang? Is this the temper of the Rogue Cultivators Alliance? How many times do you want me to repeat myself? My Rogue Cultivators Alliance can't afford to provoke Qin Feiyang. Because my Rogue Cultivators Alliance is different from yours. You have sovereign-level divine weapons, but we don't." The Alliance Master shouted angrily. "Are you really willing to give up on the Western continent?" The silver-haired woman frowned. "So what if I can't? I don't want the foundation that my ancestors worked so hard to build to be destroyed in my hands. In any case, we have to transfer them," the Alliance Master said in a deep voice. "What if I don't allow it?" The silver-haired woman's eyes turned cold. Seeing this, the two white-haired old women also released a bone-piercing chill toward the Alliance Master and his companions. The Alliance Master and his companions' hearts sank. They said angrily, "This is an internal matter of my Rogue Cultivators Alliance. What right do you have to disallow it?" "Right?" The silver-haired woman slowly stood up and looked at the three of them. A trace of killing intent appeared in her eyes. "Strength is the right. If you dare to move, Qin Feiyang won't need to do anything. I'll kill you right now." "You!" The Alliance Master was furious. "Don't force me to do it. I don't like killing. It's best if we can settle this peacefully." The silver-haired woman showed a kind smile. However, the Alliance Master and his companions couldn't help but feel their scalps go numb. This woman was more difficult to deal with than the other princes and princesses. Actually, he didn't really want to move. He was just acting for the silver-haired woman and her companions. The silver-haired woman smiled. "Actually, you don't have to worry. As long as I'm here, nothing will happen to your Rogue Cultivators Alliance. You're using us as bait," the Alliance Master said in a deep voice. "I won't deny it. After all, if you disappear, who will Qin Feiyang seek revenge from? But you really don't have to be afraid. Although I'm in your Rogue Cultivators Alliance now, as long as Qin Feiyang and his companions dare to appear, my brothers and sisters will definitely rush over immediately." The silver-haired woman smiled, her face full of confidence. The Alliance Master lowered his head and pondered for a moment. He looked at the silver-haired woman and asked, "Do I have any other choice? What do you think?" The silver-haired woman asked back with a smile. "Sigh." The Alliance Master sighed deeply and turned to look at the Deputy Alliance Master and the Hall of Famers. He said, "Pass down the order. Whether it's the management or the disciples below, if there's nothing important, don't run around." "Yes." The two of them respectfully replied. Then they turned around and left with a helpless expression on their faces. "That's right." The silver-haired woman smiled. The two white-haired old women behind her finally relaxed a lot. "As long as you're happy." The Alliance Master shook his head. "Your temperament still needs to be improved." There was a trace of disappointment in the silver-haired woman's eyes. As a dignified overlord, and the number one person in the Sky Cloud realm in terms of comprehension of the space-time law, how could he have so little courage? "I don't need you to remind me. I know what to do to be more beneficial to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance." The Alliance Master coldly snorted. "All right. I don't care about anything else, as long as you listen to me obediently." After the silver-haired woman finished speaking, she pondered for a moment and asked, "You and Qin Feiyang have known each other for so long. You should know them very well, right?" "Yes." The Alliance Master nodded. "Then besides you, who else is most familiar with them and has the best relationship with them?" the silver-haired woman asked. The Alliance Master lowered his head and pondered for a moment. His eyes suddenly lit up as he nodded and said, "There are a few people who have a particularly good relationship with them." "Who?" the silver-haired woman quickly asked. The Alliance Master said in a deep voice, "Shuo Tiansheng, Elder Yu Lu Zhongyuan, and a girl named Zhao Xiaojin." There was no need to hide these things, because the dragons would find out sooner or later. And taking the initiative to say it and waiting for the dragons to find out, the result would be different. At that time the dragons would ask them why they didn't say it at the time. This was tantamount to a flaw. Hearing this, the silver-haired woman immediately ordered, "Go and call them here immediately." Okay. The Alliance Master nodded, looked at the Shunmang couple on his shoulder, and ordered, "Go quickly." Whoosh! Hearing this, the Shunmang couple immediately soared into the sky and disappeared like lightning. Maple Valley. Back then, when Qin Feiyong and the others fought with the Blood Hall, Maple Valley had already been razed to the ground. Now, although it was full of vitality under the nourishment of the spirit vein and the crystal vein, the scene of the past could no longer be found. On a mountain top, Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf restrained their auras and stood at the edge of the cliff, looking at the Alliance capital from afar. The white-eyed wolf retracted his gaze and transmitted his voice, "Actually, we still have a lot of problems to solve now." "What problems?" Qin Feiyong was suspicious. "For example, Yi Tian and the fire dragon. Yi Tian is your master's grandson, and the fire dragon is the child of the Shunmang couple. Sooner or later, they will be brought to the table. And Zhao Xiaojin. Her relationship with us is not ordinary either," the white-eyed wolf secretly said. Qin Feiyong suddenly smiled and shook his head. "These are not difficult problems, because other than the Alliance leader and the others, no one knows that the fire dragon and Yi Tian are in the Black Tortoise realm. As for Zhao Xiaojin, let her find a chance to leave the Rogue Cultivator Alliance." "Then what is the problem in your eyes?" the white-eyed wolf asked. Qin Feiyong was speechless. "Is there a need to ask? Of course it's how to defeat the dragons." "Nonsense. Is this a problem for you alone? This is a problem that all of us share." The white-eyed wolf rolled his eyes at Qin Feiyong. "Actually, I have an idea." Qin Feiyong pondered for a while, and a light flashed in his eyes. "What idea?" The white-eyed wolf looked at him curiously. He knew that this guy had a lot of ideas. Didn't the little rabbit say that other than the Een Demon Land, the other 3 forbidden lands also have a force? We might as well go and cooperate with them, Qin Feiyong said. The white-eyed wolf was stunned for a moment, then nodded. "You don't say. It is indeed a feasible method. But there is also a problem. What if the forces of the 3 forbidden lands have a good relationship with the dragons? I am also considering this point. If they have a good relationship with the dragons, then we will be walking into a trap if we go and look for them." Qin Feiyong sighed. "This little rabbit is really infuriating. Can't she just tell us?" The white-eyed wolf was extremely annoyed. "It has its own difficulties. Why force it? To be honest, I am already very grateful that it can help me develop a force." Qin Feiyong smiled. He could imagine that in the future, a terrifying force would be born around him. The white-eyed wolf pursed his lips, pondered for a moment and asked, "Then should we find an opportunity to enter the other 3 forbidden lands and take a look?" "Yes." Qin Feiyong nodded. Buzz. At this moment, there was a sound from the Divine Voice Stone. Qin Feiyong was slightly stunned, took out the Divine Voice Stone, and then checked. A smile crept up on his face. "Who is it?" The white-eyed wolf was suspicious. Qin Feiyong did not answer, and directly activated the Divine Voice Stone, and 2 phantoms immediately appeared. It was the Deputy Chief and the Hall of Famers. Chapter 3450. Master. Elder Qi. Qin Feiyong bowed. "Let's make it short. First, we've already made arrangements for Lu Zhengyuan, Shuo Tiansheng, Elder Yu and Zhao Xiaojin. If you're worried, you can bring them to the Black Tortoise world. Second, there are people guarding the Alliance capital now. You'd better not come to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance again. Third, don't go head-to-head with the dragons again. It won't do you any good." The deputy leader hurriedly finished speaking and turned off the voice transmission stone without waiting for Qin Feiyong to speak. Qin Feiyong was stunned. The white-eyed wolf was also quite speechless. Why did it feel like he was a thief? Qin Feiyong came back to his senses and sighed. "It seems that the dragons won't stop until they kill us. Then let's wait and see. Who will kill who in the end?" The white-eyed wolf sneered. Qin Feiyong pondered for a while and activated the voice transmission stone again. Buzz. Not long after, another illusory figure appeared. It was Zhuo Dansheng. "Uncle." Qin Feiyong smiled slightly. Zhuo Tianxing asked with concern. How are you guys now? We're all good. How about you guys? Where are you hiding now? Qin Feiyang asked. That's good. Zhuo Tianxing breathed a sigh of relief and said with a smile, we're hiding in Tianyue building now. There's no danger for the time being. Tianyue building? Qin Feiyang was stunned. That's right. In the past few months, Tianyue building has been developing well in the Western continent. There are already more than a dozen branches. We're hiding in one of them. It's Yue Qing who helped arrange it. Zhuo Tianxing smiled. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said, all right then. Give me the coordinates and gather everyone. I'll pick you guys up later. Pick us up? Zhuo Tianxing was stunned. Yes. I can't be at ease with you guys staying outside. Qin Feiyang nodded. It won't cause any trouble, right? Zhuo Tianxing hesitated. What's so troublesome about this? We're all family. Qin Feiyang was speechless. It seems that I'm still treating you like an outsider? Zhuo Tianxing was stunned. What else? Qin Feiyang was displeased. All right. Zhuo Tianxing nodded with a bitter smile and told the precise coordinates to Qin Feiyang. I'll be right there. After Qin Feiyang memorized the coordinates, he turned off the voice transmission stone and looked at the white-eyed wolf. He smiled and said, then let's symbolically take revenge. Do as you wish. I'll cooperate. The white-eyed wolf bared its fangs. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Horsetail Whisk, come out. Whoosh! The horsetail whisk silently appeared in front of Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang grabbed the horsetail whisk and looked at the white-eyed wolf. The white-eyed wolf understood. As it waved its paw, a legendary passage appeared. The man and the wolf immediately walked in. The next moment, they descended in the sky above the Alliance capital. Boom! The horsetail whisk immediately recovered. A destructive aura suddenly burst out and blasted downward like a torrent. The barrier set up by the Alliance Master immediately appeared in the void in the face of such a powerful wave. Then with a loud crack it shattered on the spot. This is the aura of a sovereign divine weapon. It's Qin Feiyang and Wolf King. What are they doing? The people below looked up and their faces were filled with disbelief. Wasn't Qin Feiyang the personal disciple of the Vice Alliance Master? Why did he attack the Rogue Cultivators Alliance? What was wrong with him? Because at that time when they were acting, the three people from the Alliance and the woman in black dress were talking to each other through voice transmission, so they didn't know that the Rogue Cultivator Alliance and Qin Feiyang had already fallen out. Qin Feiyang's face was incomparably cold. The power of the horsetail whisk surged toward the city. Whoosh! Four figures rushed up to the sky like lightning. It was the silver-haired woman, the Alliance Master, and the two white-haired old women. Boom! Immediately after, a mighty power surged out from the silver-haired woman's body and blocked the aura of the horsetail whisk. It's you. It seems that you expected that we would come to find trouble with the Rogue Cultivators Alliance, so you have been waiting here. Qin Feiyang looked at the silver-haired woman and the other two and raised his eyebrows. That's right. The silver-haired woman nodded. What about the others? Qin Feiyang scanned the Alliance capital, his face full of vigilance. Don't worry, the others are not here. The silver-haired woman smiled. Qin Feiyang frowned. What was the situation with this woman? She didn't seem to have the intention to fight with him. Immediately after, he looked at the Alliance Master and said in a deep voice, You are indeed colluding with them. The Alliance Master looked a little flustered and didn't dare to look directly at Qin Feiyang's eyes. Qin Feiyang said angrily, Look into my eyes and answer me, why are you doing this? Am I not good enough to your Rogue Cultivators Alliance? The Alliance Master lowered his head and seemed to be ashamed. What's the situation? The people in the city below, as well as the disciples of the Hall of the Exalted, looked at this scene with puzzlement. Good. I was blind this time. However, you'd better pray that the dragons will protect you for the rest of your life. After Qin Feiyang said that, he looked at the white-eyed wolf. The white-eyed wolf immediately opened a space-time transmission channel. Wait! The silver-haired woman called out. However, Qin Feiyang ignored her and said without turning his head, You should know that you can't keep me, so don't waste your energy. I can't keep you, but there's something that you'll definitely be interested in. That's the Eye of Heaven. The silver-haired woman's voice rang in Qin Feiyang's mind. The eye of heaven? Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows, but he didn't stop and stepped directly into the transmission channel. The white-eyed wolf and the horsetail whisk followed closely behind. My dragons also have someone with the eye of heaven. If you're interested, come and find me here. I'll always stay in the Rogue Cultivators Alliance. The silver-haired woman's voice rang in Qin Feiyong's mind again. Other than Qin Feiyong, there was no one else who heard these words. As soon as the silver-haired woman finished speaking, Qin Feiyong, the white-eyed wolf, and the horsetail whisk completely disappeared into the transmission channel. Your Highness, are you just going to let them go? The two white-haired old women looked at the silver-haired woman in shock. What else can I do? Fight with this person and wait for my brothers and sisters to come so that they can reap the benefits. I'm not that stupid. If we have to fight with our lives on the line, they'll be the ones to fight first. The silver-haired woman smiled secretly. Fine. The two of them were helpless. They couldn't understand what the little princess was thinking. Did you see that? Did you see that? How long has it been? They're here to take revenge. The Alliance Master glared at the silver-haired woman. Isn't it fine now? The silver-haired woman frowned. The Alliance Master said in a deep voice, It's fine now, but it doesn't mean it will be fine in the future. Don't worry. As long as I'm here, the Rogue Cultivators Alliance won't be in danger. The silver-haired woman waved her hand and didn't take it to heart at all. Whoosh! At this moment, the Vice Alliance Master, the Hall Master of the Human Palace, and the Shunmang couple arrived at lightning speed and landed beside the Alliance Master. Their faces were extremely gloomy. Sigh. The Alliance Master looked at the two of them and let out a low sigh. Then he looked at the Shunmang couple and asked, Where's Shuo Tiansheng and the others? We didn't find them. The Shunmang couple said in a deep voice. What? You didn't find them? The Alliance Master's expression changed. The silver-haired woman and the two old women couldn't help but look at the Shunmang couple and frown slightly. That's right. We searched the entire Alliance capital, but we didn't find any trace of them. We asked someone familiar to send them a message, but there was no response. The Shunmang couple shook their heads. How could this be? When we discussed with the dragons about how to deal with Qin Feiyong and the others, we set up a soundproof barrier. They couldn't have known that we betrayed Qin Feiyong and the others. The Alliance Master raised his eyebrows. Could it be the white-eyed wolf? The Vice Alliance Master suddenly asked. The white-eyed wolf? The Alliance Master was stunned. That's right. The Vice Alliance Master nodded and pointed at the silver-haired woman and the other two. He said in a deep voice, Didn't they say not long ago that when they rushed to the Sea of Heavenly Clouds, they didn't see the white-eyed wolf? Maybe it was the white-eyed wolf who tipped off Shuo Tiansheng and the others to secretly leave the Alliance capital. The Vice Alliance Master's expression stiffened. He turned to the Shunmang couple and asked, Did you go to the exit to ask? Yes. According to the people guarding the exit, they have indeed left the Alliance capital. And it was not long after they went to the Sea of Heavenly Clouds. The Shunmang couple glanced at the silver-haired woman and the others. Damn it. How could we have overlooked these people? If we had thought of them from the start, how could they have had the chance to escape the Alliance capital? The Alliance Master roared, his face full of anger. It's not all our fault. The biggest fault is theirs. If they had succeeded in killing Qin Feiyong and the others, how could this have happened? The Vice Alliance Master glanced at the silver-haired woman and the others and coldly snorted. Don't take advantage of us. I haven't said that you were careless and you're blaming us. The silver-haired woman's eyes flashed coldly. She said indifferently, They're just a few small fries. There's no need to be so serious. Besides, even if we caught them, Qin Feiyong and the others might not care. Wrong. He definitely cares. Because he's such a righteous person. The Alliance Master said. I don't know what kind of person he was before, but now that you've betrayed him, do you think he'll still be the same as before? The silver-haired woman sneered. Can you keep your voice down? Do you want all the disciples below to know that we've betrayed them? How are we going to manage the Rogue Cultivator Alliance in the future? The Alliance Master looked at the disciples below and said angrily. This matter will be exposed sooner or later. After saying that, the silver-haired woman led the two white-haired old women and flew down to the city below without looking back. Looking at the backs of the three people, the Alliance Master, the Vice Alliance Master, the Hall of Famers, and the Shunmang couple looked at each other and couldn't help but let out a long sigh of relief. All the problems were finally solved. Now the Rogue Cultivator Alliance might not be able to stay out of this, but at least they didn't have to face the risk of being hunted down by the dragons. Next, it would depend on the ability of Qin Feiyang and the others. The dragons wouldn't give up just like that, and Qin Feiyang and the others weren't so benevolent. Therefore, this battle would continue until one side fell. Chapter 3451. At the same time, in an antique, tidy and clean tea house, Zhuo Tiansheng, Elder Yu, Lu Zhengyuan, Zhao Xiaojin and Yueqing gathered together, talking and laughing. Their faces were full of anticipation. On the tea table, not only was the best tea prepared, but there was also an exquisite incense burner. Light smoke rose in spirals and the fragrance assailed their nostrils. That's right. This was a branch of Tianyue Tower in the western continent. Lu Zhengyuan and the others were naturally summoned by Zhuo Tiansheng. Uncles, Elder Yu, Miss Yueqing, what's going on? Zhao Xiaojin was still in a daze. Although she had seen what the woman in the black dress and the others did with her own eyes, she had no idea why. We don't know either. Zhuo Tiansheng shook his head. Yueqing shook her head and said, I don't know either. She was originally busy entertaining the guests, but suddenly received a message from the Criminal Investigation Unit, asking her to pick up a few people. When she picked up Zhuo Tiansheng and the others, the Criminal Investigation Unit told her to take care of Zhuo Tiansheng and the others, then turned and left, not giving her a chance to ask questions. However, they could all think that this matter was definitely not that simple. Otherwise, Qin Feiyang would not have come personally to pick them up to the Black Tortoise realm. Buzz! Suddenly, a space-time transmission channel appeared in the void next to them. They immediately put down the teacups in their hands and looked toward the space-time transmission channel, only to see a man and a wolf walk out from it. It was Qin Feiyang, the white-eyed wolf, and the horsetail whisk. But when they walked out, Qin Feiyang stood still in the same place, not moving at all. Looking at his face, it was full of disbelief. The horsetail whisk did not enter Qin Feiyang's sea of qi immediately. The white-eyed wolf did not notice Qin Feiyang's abnormality. He waved his paws at Zhuo Tiansheng and the others and said with a smile, Hello everyone, did you miss me? Zhuo Tiansheng and the others could not help but shake their heads and laugh. But soon, they noticed Qin Feiyang's abnormality. Little Qin Zi, what are you doing? Although it's a reunion of old friends, there's no need to be so excited. The white-eyed wolf also noticed Qin Feiyang's abnormal behavior. He turned to look at Qin Feiyang and grinned. However, Qin Feiyang acted as if he hadn't heard anything. White-eyed wolf was slightly taken aback. Something didn't seem right. Lu Zhengyuan sized up Qin Feiyang, then looked at the white-eyed wolf and asked, Little wolf, what's going on? I don't know. He was fine at the Rogue Cultivator Alliance just now. What's wrong with him? The white-eyed wolf shook his head and looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. What? You guys just went to the Alliance capital? Zhuo Tiansheng was shocked. Yes, I went for a stroll. The white-eyed wolf nodded. Stroll around. Zhao Xiaojin and Yueqing looked at each other and were speechless. It was as if they were going shopping. Little Qin Zi? The white-eyed wolf couldn't help but raise his paw and pat Qin Feiyang on the shoulder. Ah! Qin Feiyang quivered and looked at the white-eyed wolf, asking what's wrong. You're asking me what's wrong? The white-eyed wolf twitched the corner of his mouth and said, I want to ask you why you stood there motionless like a piece of wood when you came out. Me? Qin Feiyang pointed at his nose. What else? The white-eyed wolf was really speechless. He touched Qin Feiyang's forehead and muttered, You don't have a fever. Why are you acting crazy for no reason? You're the one who's acting crazy. Qin Feiyang glared at the white-eyed wolf, then looked at Zhuo Tiansheng and the others and said with an embarrassed smile, You're all here. Sorry, I was distracted. I don't understand why you were distracted. Elder Yu frowned. What's wrong? Why are you so worried? Zhuo Tiansheng looked at him with concern. It's nothing. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and said with a smile, Go to the Black Tortoise world first. Then go to Sky Cloud Island and cultivate with Big Brother. What? Sky Cloud Island? Cultivate with his big brother. Are you spouting nonsense again? Zhuo Tiansheng and the others looked at each other. You'll know when the time comes. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but smile bitterly. They really thought he was crazy. Then what's going on? And those people looking for you everywhere, who are they? Even now they want to hide us? Zhao Xiaojin looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Go to the Black Tortoise world and ask Fire Lotus and Lunatic about this. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and sent Zhuo Tiansheng and the others to the Black Tortoise world. Then he looked at Yueqing next to him and said with a smile, don't ask for now. Knowing won't do you any good. Instead, it will pressure you. Is it that exaggerated? Yueqing was a little skeptical. It's not exaggerated at all. If you really want to know, you can ask Master when the time comes. However, I sincerely advise you not to get involved and do your business well. Otherwise, I'm afraid no one can protect your Tianyue building. Qin Feiyang shook his head. All right. Yueqing nodded. Little Qin Zi, wait a moment. The white-eyed wolf suddenly raised his paw and pondered for a while. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, I'm afraid that the Tianyue building won't be able to escape this disaster. After all, everyone knows that the Tianyue building developed so quickly because of you. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Seemed to make sense. Why do I feel that something is wrong? What's going on? Yueqing looked at the man and the wolf and frowned. Qin Feiyang looked Yueqing up and down for a while. He looked at the white-eyed wolf and said, you tell her. I'll think about a few questions. After that, Qin Feiyang sat down at the coffee table, picked up a teacup at random and drank. Qin Dage, that's the teacup I drank from. Yueqing's cheeks turned red and she hurriedly said, it's okay. Qin Feiyang shook his head and lowered his head. He drank his tea and pondered. White-eyed wolf, what's going on? Yueqing was stunned. She turned to look at the white-eyed wolf and asked, who knows? The white-eyed wolf shrugged and then said angrily, who are you to call the white-eyed wolf? Do you believe that I won't kill you? Call me brother. Yueqing was stunned. She smiled bitterly and said, okay. Brother wolf, then brother wolf, tell me. I'm already mentally prepared. Are you sure you're mentally prepared? The white-eyed wolf looked at her teasingly. Yes. Yueqing nodded heavily. Okay, listen carefully. The white-eyed wolf was beaming with joy as he narrated the story with spittle flying everywhere. He even intentionally exaggerated the facts, which made Yueqing dumbstruck and frightened. At the same time, Zhuo Tiansheng and the others were also in the Black Tortoise world. They were also shocked when they heard the Fire Lotus's story. They never thought that Qin Feiyang and the others would attract such a huge monster when they went to the Een Demon Land. Not to mention anything else, just these dragons, princes and princesses each had a sovereign divine weapon. It was enough to make people tremble in fear. How is it? In the tea room, the white-eyed wolf took out a jar of Black Tortoise divine wine and drank a mouthful. He looked at Yueqing and asked. Yueqing glanced at the white-eyed wolf, took a deep breath and shook her head. It's completely beyond my imagination. If it wasn't from your mouth, I wouldn't have believed that such a force still exists in the sky cloud world. So, when you go out to socialize in the future, whether it's doing or speaking, you have to be careful. The white-eyed wolf warned. Don't worry, I know what to do. Yueqing smiled slightly. It's good that you know. The white-eyed wolf nodded and turned to look at Qin Feiyang. His face was full of suspicion. What was going on with this guy? What wine fragrance? Yueqing also finally noticed the wine fragrance in the tea room. After looking around, her eyes finally locked on the wine jar in front of the white-eyed wolf. She said in surprise, this seems to be divine wine? Yes. Is there a problem? The white-eyed wolf looked at her doubtfully. Yueqing smelled the wine fragrance and her eyes lit up. She asked, what kind of divine wine is this? As a businessman and a restaurant owner, she was naturally interested in wine. Black Tortoise divine wine. The white-eyed wolf bared his teeth. Black Tortoise divine wine? Yueqing was slightly taken aback. Where had she heard of it before? That's right. The last time she followed Qin Feiyang to Sky Cloud Island to find the little rabbit, Qin Feiyang took out dozens of jars of wine called Black Tortoise divine wine and gave it to the little rabbit. But at that time she didn't pay too much attention to it. Because in this world, there were many wines with the word divine wine in their names, but in fact they weren't real divine wines. And the jar of black tortoise divine wine in front of her was indeed a peerless divine wine. Yueqing asked curiously, "Which master brewer made it? What do you want?" The white-eyed wolf looked at her suspiciously. Yueqing smiled and said, "What else? I just want to visit that master and see if there's a chance for cooperation. If that master agrees to cooperate, then my Tianyue Tower's business will definitely soar." "Not bad. That's a business opportunity." The white-eyed wolf chuckled. "You're too kind." Yueqing waved her hand. Wasn't this a basic operation? If she didn't even know this, then how could she open a restaurant and do business? "This is black tortoise divine wine, right? You can't find it outside. Only we have it. As for that master brewer, there's more than one. This is the product of many masters. They spent tens of thousands of years and countless precious materials to research it." The white-eyed wolf chuckled. He was obviously bragging. More importantly, Yueqing believed him. Her face was full of admiration. They could even develop divine wine. This group of people was indeed different. "Then can we cooperate?" She looked at the white-eyed wolf with a look of anticipation. "Cooperate?" The white-eyed wolf was stunned. "Let's forget about cooperation. Don't try to be in the limelight during critical times." Qin Feiyong's voice suddenly sounded. Yueqing raised her head and looked at Qin Feiyong with a trace of suspicion in her eyes. "The appearance of black tortoise divine wine will indeed raise your Tianyue Tower's voice to a higher level, but it will also attract attention. Now that the dragons will investigate everyone related to us, if we are too high profile now, it will inevitably attract unnecessary trouble. So it's better to keep a low profile for now." Qin Feiyong said. "That's true." Yueqing thought for a while and nodded. She looked at Qin Feiyong and said, "Then let's cooperate again in the future?" "Sure." Qin Feiyong nodded. "Thank you, Qin Dage." Yueqing smiled gratefully. The man in front of her had really helped her too much, and it was for free. Now that this man was in trouble, she couldn't do anything to help. She felt really apologetic. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly and pondered for a while. He looked at Yueqing and said, "I have something to discuss with the white-eyed wolf. You go ahead and do what you need to do. Don't come to see us off later. We will leave after we are done." "Where are you going?" Yueqing quickly asked. "Don't ask. I won't tell you even if you ask. Go." Qin Feiyong smiled. Yueqing helplessly got up and said, "Then take care of yourselves." "Okay." Qin Feiyong nodded. Yueqing looked deeply at Qin Feiyong and nodded to the white-eyed wolf. Then she turned and walked out of the room, closing the door behind her. Chapter 3452. What do you want to say? Why are you being so mysterious? The white-eyed wolf retracted his gaze and looked at Qin Feiyong. Ever since he left the itinerant cultivator alliance, this person had been absent-minded. This was not in line with Qin Feiyong's character. Qin Feiyong pondered for a while and asked, "Didn't someone say that fighting souls like the Eye of Heaven are unique?" "Eye of Heaven?" The white-eyed wolf was slightly stunned and felt even more puzzled. "Why are you suddenly asking this? Answer me first," Qin Feiyong urged. "Don't you know the significance of the top 10 heaven-defying divine souls better than I do? It's not just one person who said so. Everyone thinks so. They are unique." The white-eyed wolf spoke. "You only think so? Doesn't that mean that there is really a possibility that there will be a second person who has opened the Eye of Heaven in this world?" Qin Feiyong mumbled and frowned. In the past, everyone said that it was unique, but it had not been studied. Besides, the world was huge and there were all kinds of strange things. There were many things that one did not know, but it did not mean that they did not exist. However, he still found it hard to accept. This was because this unique thinking had been deeply ingrained. Now, he was suddenly told that there was someone else who had the Eye of Heaven. This was equivalent to breaking his understanding of common sense and overturning his previous thinking. What exactly is going on? Can you explain it clearly? The white-eyed wolf frowned. Qin Feiyong sighed and drank a mouthful of tea. He looked at the white-eyed wolf and said, "When I left the itinerant cultivator alliance, that woman secretly told me that there is also someone who has opened the Eye of Heaven in the dragons." "What?" The white-eyed wolf was originally sitting on the chair like a human, but when he heard Qin Feiyong's words, He immediately jumped up and the wine jar in his hand fell to the ground, spilling wine all over the floor. I also feel that it is too unbelievable. That's why I have been thinking about this matter. Qin Feiyong rubbed his forehead. That's how it is. White-eyed wolf nodded in realization. If it were him, it would have reacted the same way upon hearing this news. Because it was too shocking. Let's go. To the black tortoise world. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed slightly. With a wave of his hand, one man and one wolf immediately descended above the devil's land. Following closely, Qin Feiyong closed his eyes, his perception instantly enveloping the entire devil's land. He did not find Dong Zhongyang, Mu Tianyang, the demon ancestor, and Mu Qing. Next, he then extended his perception to the western domain, northern domain, southern domain, eastern domain, and middle continent. Qindage, brother wolf, what are you doing? Fire Lotus leaped into the air and landed in front of Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf. Shoo! White-eyed wolf gestured for him to keep quiet. He was also in disbelief. What's the situation? Fire Lotus was even more confused. Found it. Suddenly, Qin Feiyong's eyes lit up. Dong Zhongyang was training in a city in the eastern domain. The demon ancestor and the demon dragon were cultivating in a mountain in the southern domain. Mu Tianyang and Mu Qing were in a desert in the northern domain. They were like two ascetic monks in the secular world, wandering aimlessly. Beside the two of them, there was a mature woman. This woman was Guosweki. After not seeing her for so many years, she was even more charming than before. After all, Guosweki was quite good-looking. However, for Qin Feiyong, other than a few women, he was too lazy to look at other women. As for the grudge with Guosweki, to be honest, he did not take it to heart. He had even forgotten about it. As long as Guosweki could stay obediently in the black tortoise world, he would not make things difficult for her. Swish! Qin Feiyong waved his hand. White-eyed wolf and Fire Lotus's bodies became light. The next moment they appeared above a giant mountain. On the mountain peak below, a person was sitting. It was the demon ancestor. The scenery here was not bad. The vegetation was lush and full of vitality. At the foot of the mountain there was a river. The river water was so clear that one could see the bottom. Behind the demon ancestor, there was a small thatched cottage. It was old and simple. Beside it, there was an old locust tree that swayed in the wind. The demon ancestor sat under the tree. There was a stone table, 6 stone stools, and a pot of tea. It was very plain and simple. The demon dragon was lying on the stone table, sleeping with his eyes closed. When Qin Feiyong appeared with White-eyed Wolf and Fire Lotus, the demon dragon immediately opened his eyes. 2 rays of cold light shot out of his eyes. When he realized that it was Qin Feiyong and the others, the cold light in his eyes gradually faded. Not bad. You know how to slack off. Qin Feiyong landed on the mountain peak and smiled at the demon ancestor. Although the black tortoise world had passed for hundreds of millions of years, the demon ancestor was still the same as before. He was a young man full of energy. The difference was, compared to before, the demon ancestor's aura was less vicious and more honest. Am I slacking off now? I'm enjoying my old age in an open and honorable manner. Sit. The demon ancestor shook his head and smiled. He opened the teapot and poured a cup of tea for Qin Feiyong and Fire Lotus. Where's brother? White-eyed Wolf frowned. You might like this more. The demon ancestor took out another pot of wine. It was not the black tortoise divine wine, nor was it some top-grade wine. It was just a pot of ordinary wine. However, the taste was lighter and had a hint of sweetness. White-eyed Wolf was stunned. He grabbed the wine pot and laughed, as expected of an old rival. You even know brother's hobby. The demon ancestor laughed. He looked at Qin Feiyong and said, Why did you think of looking for me? Qin Feiyong did not speak. He sized up the demon ancestor and the demon dragon. He really could not see through their cultivation. They were like 2 ordinary people. Obviously, they were deliberately hiding their cultivation. There's nothing to see. I am a low-stage dominator. The demon dragon is an early-stage dominator. We can't compare to you, Frenzy and White-eyed Wolf. The demon ancestor smiled faintly. What? He is already a low-stage dominator. White-eyed Wolf was stunned. Qin Feiyang was also surprised. Fire Lotus was even more stunned. They originally thought that the demon ancestor was at most an early-stage dominator. They never expected that he was already a low-stage dominator. He was really mysterious. Powerful indeed. Qin Feiyang came back to his senses and shook his head. If not for the destruction law inheritance, his current cultivation would be the same as the demon ancestors. Of course, my lord is in existence on the same level as your ancestor. In terms of talent and comprehension, he is not inferior to you. The demon dragon smiled proudly. Tiske, so what if he is a low-stage dominator? Brother can suppress him with a wave of my hand. White-eyed wolf drank a mouthful of wine, his face full of disdain. You, the demon dragon immediately glared at White-eyed wolf. Not convinced. White-eyed wolf sneered. How would I dare? You are the only one in the Black Tortoise realm who has comprehended the 3 strongest laws. The demon dragon coldly snorted. You even know about this? White-eyed wolf was surprised. Nonsense. Although we have left the Devil's Land for many years, it does not mean that we have not paid attention to the situation there. The demon dragon said. Then are you envious of brother? White-eyed wolf looked at him proudly. I? Dragon God's expression stiffened. He shook his head and said, I am not envious. What is there to be envious of? He did not comprehend it with his own efforts. Keep pretending. Keep pretending. White-eyed wolf's face was full of ridicule. He was obviously envious, but he insisted on being stubborn and denying it. Hypocrite. Are you done yet? You came all the way here just to show off? Demon Dragon glared at White-eyed wolf angrily. This damn wolf cub, why was he still like this? He was born with a face that deserved a beating. Looking at this scene, Qin Feiyang and Demon Ancestor looked at each other. They could not help but have a trace of helplessness on their faces. Fire Lotus had a trace of a smile at the corner of her mouth. She had known Demon Ancestor for a long time. It could be said that compared to the past Demon Ancestor, he had changed a lot. If she did not know what Demon Ancestor had done in the past, she would definitely think that he was a good person. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and 4 more figures appeared. These 4 people were Dong Zhongyang, Mu Tianyang, Mu Qing, and Guosweki. When the 4 of them saw Qin Feiyang and the others, they could not help but be stunned. Immediately after, Guosweki became nervous. At the same time, there was a cold light in her eyes. The destruction of the Guo family, the tragic death of her family, to her, was a pain that she would never forget. The man in front of her was the executioner who made her an orphan. However, Qin Feiyang did not pay attention to her. He only hurriedly glanced around and his gaze landed on Mu Tianyang, Mu Qing, and Dong Zhongyang. Long time no see. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. I didn't miss you at all. Mu Qing snorted coldly. Qin Feiyang laughed. It's best if you don't miss me, because I'm not interested in men. Mu Qing was slightly stunned. She looked rather speechless. This guy actually learned how to joke. Demon Ancestor looked at the 3 of them and asked with a smile, what are your cultivation levels now? You still don't know their cultivation levels? White-eyed wolf looked at Demon Ancestor suspiciously. I don't know. Although we are all in the Black Tortoise realm, we have not contacted each other all these years. Demon Ancestor shook his head. All right. White-eyed wolf was speechless. It was really like the old saying, if it's fate, it's hard to meet. If it's not, it's impossible to meet. Everyone was in the Black Tortoise realm and was so strong. If they wanted to find each other, it would be a matter of minutes. However, after so many years, they had not contacted each other even once. This way of getting along really made one want to laugh. It's all right. Lesser Dominator. Dong Zhengyang sat by the stone table and smiled. Damn, you also broke through to Lesser Dominator? White-eyed wolf was stunned. We're all right too. One is a Lesser Dominator, one is an Initial Dominator, and one is a Half-Step Dominator. Mu Tianyang also sat by the side and smiled faintly. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang shook his head helplessly. To be honest, he was a little envious. That was because these fellows could peacefully cultivate in the Black Tortoise realm, but he had to be busy all the time. If it wasn't for the fact that his tolerance level was high enough, he probably would have quit long ago. White-eyed wolf's heart was even more unbalanced. It was only a lesser dominator when it was working so hard outside. But these people were leisurely hiding in the Black Tortoise realm and had also cultivated to lesser dominator. Fortunately, there were no outsiders present. Otherwise, they would have called them a bunch of monsters. Qin Feiyong drank a mouthful of tea and looked at the group. This time I called you all here because I have something to tell you. Mu Tianyang and the others looked at each other, then looked at Qin Feiyong and asked, "What is it?" Previously, I heard that among the dragons of the Sky Cloud realm, there is also someone who has opened the eye of heaven. I really don't know if this is true, so I wanted to ask you all. Qin Feiyong said. Chapter 3453. What? The demon ancestor Mu Tianyang and Mu Qing's eyes were suddenly filled with shock. However, Dong Zhengyang frowned slightly, as if something had appeared. That's impossible. Our 10 war souls are unique. How can there be a second one? After regaining her senses, Mu Qing was the first to speak, voicing the question in her heart. That's also the question I've been pondering. Could it be that all along we have misunderstood the 10 war souls, and they are not unique? Qin Feiyong frowned. Did you see it with your own eyes? Mu Tianyang thought for a while and asked. No. Qin Feiyong shook his head and said. But I feel that she has no need to lie to me. Who told you? Mu Tianyang asked. Qin Feiyong said. It's a princess of the dragons. A princess of the dragons. Mu Tianyang and the others looked at each other, lowered their heads and pondered. After a while, the demon ancestor looked up at Qin Feiyong and asked, "There are also dragons in the Sky Cloud realm? And it seems that their strength is not simple? If only it were simple, I wouldn't have to hide." Qin Feiyong sighed. The demon ancestor said, "Then tell us in detail about the dragons." "I don't know much about the dragons." Qin Feiyong shook his head. Then, he began to narrate the situation that he knew in detail. Everyone has a sovereign divine weapon? When they heard this, their expressions were incomparably astonished. They looked at Qin Feiyong and asked, "You're not joking with us, right? Do you think I'm in the mood to joke with you now?" Qin Feiyong was helpless. They looked at each other again, their faces full of shock. A sovereign divine weapon could rule a continent in the Sky Cloud realm. And now the dragons of the Sky Cloud realm had so many sovereign divine weapons. How were the others supposed to live? No wonder Qin Feiyong had such a headache whenever he mentioned the dragons. If it were them, they would have done the same. This was an undefeatable monster. Mu Tianyang took a deep breath, looked at Qin Feiyong and asked, "So now if the dragons of the Sky Cloud realm attack, the ice dragon won't attack?" "That's what it says." Qin Feiyong nodded. "I don't think we can take its words too seriously." Mu Tianyang thought for a while and shook his head. "I know. But we'd better pray that it doesn't interfere anymore. Otherwise, it'll be an even bigger headache." Qin Feiyong sighed. Just one dragon was enough to render him helpless. If the ice dragon were to join the fray as well, what was the point? Just surrender. Suddenly, Mu Qing looked at Dong Zhengyang and asked suspiciously, "Old Dong, why aren't you saying anything? What are you thinking about?" Qin Feiyong and the others were slightly taken aback. They also looked at Dong Zhengyang and finally discovered Dong Zhengyang's abnormality. A trace of suspicion crept into their eyes. Dong Zhengyang glanced at Qin Feiyong and the others, still lowering his head and remaining silent. "Do you know something?" White-Eyed Wolf asked. Dong Zhengyang still didn't speak. "If you know something, hurry up and say it so that we can be mentally prepared." Qin Feiyong and the others also urged. Dong Zhengyang's performance at the moment was obviously hesitating. It seemed that he wanted to say something, but there was some kind of concern and he didn't dare to say it. Sigh. After a long time, Dong Zhengyang let out a long sigh, looked up at Qin Feiyong and the others and said, "The 10 war souls are indeed not unique." "What?" Qin Feiyong and the others suddenly got up and looked at Dong Zhengyang in surprise. Dong Zhengyang looked at the group of people, shook his head and sighed. He raised his hand and pressed down, saying, "Sit down and listen to me slowly." Qin Feiyong and the others looked at each other and returned to the stone bench. "In fact, I wasn't sure about this before. Because this is a secret that I accidentally learned when I was a guardian," Dong Zhengyang said. Before Qin Feiyong, Dong Zhengyang was the guardian of Great Qin's mainland. Qin Feiyong and the others knew about this. Legend has it that there are actually 2 people in the world who own the 10 war souls. In other words, not only your eye of heaven but also my eye of destiny, Mu Qing's eye of heaven, demon ancestor's eye of despair, Mu Qianyang's eye of evil, mermaid princess's eye of life, Lin Yi's eye of oblivion, also Lu Zhongyang Qin Badian, and Lu Jijin's eye of reincarnation, eye of nihility, and eye of destruction. There are only 2 people in the world who own them, Dong Zhengyang said. This, Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other. This was too unexpected. Each war soul actually had 2 owners. You should have noticed it too. Before the sovereign realm, our war souls can be said to be invincible. But after stepping into the sovereign realm, our war souls are the same as other people's war souls. They are useless. What qualifications do such war souls have to be called the 10 strongest war souls in the world? Dong Zhengyang said. Qin Feiyang and the others nodded one after another. They were all possessors of the 10 war souls, so they naturally felt the same way. Just like the eye of heaven. In the past it could replicate everything. But now that they had entered the sovereign realm, the enemies they faced were all people who had activated the profound laws and heaven-defying divine arts. The eye of heaven could no longer be replicated, which meant it was useless. To be honest, it wasn't even 1/10,000th of the frenzied man's blood eye. The blood eye could petrify sovereign realm experts. There was also the white-eyed wolf's war soul. It could continuously deprive the power of laws and cultivation, and it could also merge with the power of laws. To be honest, the frenzied man and the white-eyed wolf's war souls were worthy of being called the strongest war souls. Dong Zhengyang's eyes flashed as he looked at Qin Feiyang and the others. Actually, the reason is here. What do you mean? Qin Feiyang and the others were puzzled. Dong Zhengyang said. It means that our war souls are not complete. Not complete? Qin Feiyang and the others were stunned. That's right. For example, if my eye of destiny was complete, I would be able to see even further into the future. For example, Qin Feiyang, if your eye of heaven was complete, you would probably be able to replicate the profound laws. There's also Mu Qing's all-seeing eye. If her all-seeing eye was complete, she would probably be able to see the location of sovereign realm experts. Dong Zhengyang said. What? Your all-seeing eye can't see sovereign realm experts now. Qin Feiyang looked at Mu Qing in surprise. Yes, I didn't know in the past, and I often peeped at you and the frenzied man. But when I entered the sovereign realm, I realized that I couldn't do it anymore. Mu Qing sighed. In that case, the 10 war souls have become useless after entering the sovereign realm. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. Mu Qing's face was filled with helplessness. She couldn't help but feel upset when she thought about the war souls that didn't live up to their name. She then looked at Dong Zhengyang and asked, how can I make them complete? Dong Zhengyang lowered his head and pondered. He seemed to be hesitating. What's wrong with you? We're all in the same boat now. Is there any point in hiding it? Mu Qing raised her eyebrows. I'm not hiding it from you. I just don't know if the secret I learned is true or not. Dong Zhengyang shook his head. Who cares if it's true or not? Tell us first so that we can consider it. Mu Qing said. All right. Dong Zhengyang nodded and looked at Qin Feiyang and the others. He said in a deep voice, if you want it to be complete, you have to devour the other party's war soul and combine them. Devour the other party's war soul? Qin Feiyang and the others were stunned. That's right. For example, the 2 of us have both opened the eye of destiny. Then I have to devour your eye of destiny and combine the 2 eyes of destiny into one. Only then will it be complete. Only then will it be considered the true eye of destiny. Dong Zhengyang explained. Qin Feiyang and the others looked at each other. This answer was simply unexpected. They had to kill the other party and combine their war souls to complete their war souls? If the Princess of the Dragons didn't lie to you, then this matter is probably true. Furthermore, it is said that when 2 people with the same war soul meet, they will reject each other and feel disgusted. They will feel as if they have met their fated enemy. However, I haven't met such a person until now. This is also the reason why I can't confirm it. After Dong Zhengyang finished speaking, he looked at Qin Feiyang and the others and waited for Qin Feiyang and the others to express their views. Reject? Dislike? Fated enemy? Mu Tianyang frowned and looked at Qin Feiyang. He said, aren't you talking about me, Qin Batian and Lu Zhengyang? You call that rejecting and hating each other? Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes. Everyone present knew that Mu Tianyang, the demon ancestor, Lu Zhongyang and Qin Badian had fallen out because they had their own beliefs and principles. In short, their beliefs were different and their goals were different. They were not on the same path. They were completely different from fated enemies. Wait! Suddenly Qin Feiyong's gaze trembled. What's wrong? Everyone present was shocked by Qin Feiyong and hurriedly asked. Qin Feiyong lowered his head and pondered for a while. He said in a low voice, I really met such a person. Who? When did you meet him? Dong Zhongyang was bewildered. He's also a prince of the dragons. I met him in the Yin Demon Land. He should be the prince of the Golden Dragon clan. When I saw him, the first feeling I had was disgust. No matter how I suppressed it, this feeling of disgust couldn't be suppressed. Instead, it became stronger and stronger. At that time, I was still wondering why. It was obviously the first time we met, and there was no hatred between us. Why would I have such a feeling? Now that I hear you say this, could it be that the person that the Princess of the Dragons was talking about is him? Qin Feiyong looked at Dong Zhongyang with a puzzled face. Dong Zhongyang also lowered his head and pondered. Mu Tianyang and the others looked at each other with a look of surprise. So what Dong Zhongyang said was true. After an unknown period of time, Dong Zhongyang raised his head and looked at Qin Feiyong. He asked, Are you sure that when you saw him it was rejection, disgust, and the feeling of an enemy? I'm sure. Qin Feiyong nodded. In order to increase his persuasion, he added, Definitely, definitely. Dong Zhongyang laughed on the spot. What are you laughing at? Qin Feiyong was suspicious. The demon ancestor and the others also looked at him in confusion. Chapter 3454. Shouldn't we laugh? Dong Zhongyang looked at the group of people and asked. No, what's so funny about this? White-eyed Wolf looked at him in confusion. What's wrong with him? Think about it. Qin Feiyong has already met this destined enemy, which proves that these things are real. Since it's real, then our fighting souls have a chance to evolve. Isn't this good news? If you ask me, we should toast and celebrate. Let's congratulate our fighting souls that are about to be reborn and become the strongest fighting souls in the world. Dong Zhongyang chuckled. Qin Feiyong and the others were stunned. Hearing Dong Zhongyang's words, they felt that there was a need to celebrate. Ahem. Fire Lotus coughed and looked at Dong Zhongyang. I don't want to ruin your good mood, but there's something I have to say. Even if what you said is true, that you can devour the other party's fighting souls and complete your fighting souls, you have to know that this is the sky cloud boundary. Yes. Not to mention the others, even that golden-clothed youth, as the prince of the Golden Dragon clan, is it so easy to deal with him? Moreover, since the princess of the dragons said so, she should also know about the matter of devouring. Maybe the other party is also looking for an opportunity to devour our fighting souls. So we can't be happy too early. The demon ancestor shook his head. What are you afraid of? Don't we have Qin Feiyong? Dong Zhongyang chuckled. What do you mean? Qin Feiyong was slightly stunned and frowned. You don't want me to risk my life and you to enjoy the fruits of others' labor in the Black Tortoise boundary, right? Capable people do more work. Dong Zhongyang smiled. Get lost, solve your own problems. Qin Feiyong glared at him fiercely. After resting in the Black Tortoise boundary for so many years, hadn't he rested enough? We don't have a Dominator divine weapon, nor do we have a divine art like Slaughter Domain. How do you expect us to solve this by ourselves? Dong Zhongyang felt helpless. Stop. We're all adults. It's time for us to learn how to earn our own living. Besides, if you don't go out for a walk, how are you going to run into your enemies? They can't possibly deliver themselves to our doorstep. Moreover, you also said that only when two people with the same fighting soul meet each other, will they repel and hate each other. Therefore, even if I met your old enemy outside, I wouldn't know. Qin Feiyong pursed his lips. That does make sense. Dong Zhongyang pondered for a moment and nodded. Nonsense. Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes at him. However, no matter what, our goal is the same. That is to find our old enemies and devour their fighting souls. Therefore, we must work together sincerely in the future. We must not stab each other in the back. Dong Zhengyang smiled as he looked at Qin Feiyang, Mu Qing, Mu Tianyang, and the devil ancestor. That's not necessarily true. I might stab Qin Feiyang in the back if I'm in a bad mood one day, Mu Tianyang said expressionlessly. Are you interested? Dong Zhengyang shook his head. He then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, go and confirm it again. If there's someone among the dragons who has opened the eye of heaven, then we'll start to plan the hunt. That's right. First, we have to confirm that we can devour the other party's fighting soul and evolve our own fighting soul. The devil ancestor nodded. Therefore, we'll start with the prince of the Golden Dragon tribe. Mu Qing and Mu Tianyang smiled coldly. Qin Feiyang looked at the four of them and smiled. All right, I'll go and check it out. In addition, you guys should prepare yourselves. I've found a better place for cultivation. A better place for cultivation? The four of them were stunned and quickly asked, how good is it? Qin Feiyang smiled and said, I don't know about the rest, but the time array there is 5,000 years in a day. The four of them looked at each other. A 5,000-year time array in a single day. There was no reason to refuse. They had to go. Qin Feiyang looked at Fire Lotus again and said with a smile, when you return to the Devil's Land, go and inform everyone. Then who should I inform? Fire Lotus asked. Everyone in the Devil's Land and all the beasts have to go, including you. The rest are 6,000 shadow guards, Wang Chongyuan, and the other 10 commanders. By the way, make arrangements for these 6,000 shadow guards and the remaining 8 commanders to open the gate of potential. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. Open all of them? Fire Lotus was surprised. Yes. Since they are going to go to Big Brother's place to cultivate, they naturally have to go in their best state. This way they can maximize their harvest. In short, this is a rare opportunity. Cherish it. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Okay. I will make the arrangements now. Fire Lotus nodded and immediately got up and left. What a straightforward woman. She doesn't drag her feet when doing things. Demon Ancestor shook his head and smiled. After all, she was once the palace master of Nine Heavens Palace. Qin Feiyang smiled. Mu Qing couldn't help but snort coldly. Giving up Nine Heavens Palace and staying by your side every day to help you take care of everything. I really don't know where your charm comes from. My charm? You don't understand. Qin Feiyang chuckled and got up. Hurry up and prepare to return to the Devil's Land. 3 days later I won't be late. After saying that, he left the Black Tortoise world with the White-Eyed Wolf. Shameless. Gwasweki finally couldn't help but speak. Her face was full of contempt. She was also under a lot of pressure. The former Qin Feiyang in her eyes was an insurmountable mountain, let alone the current Qin Feiyang. Therefore, when standing with Qin Feiyang, she didn't dare to speak. Mu Tianyang glanced at Gwasweki, got up, looked at Demon Ancestor and Dong Zhengyang, and said with a smile, since the opportunity has been sent to us, then we won't be polite with him. Let's return to the Devil's Land. Besides, after being silent for so many years, it's time for us to go out and show off. Demon Ancestor and Dong Zhengyang looked at each other, and couldn't help but have a smile on their faces. At this moment, Sky Cloud Island, the space-time crack that led to hell, was suspended above the mountain peak. Suddenly, rays of divine light emerged. Whoosh! Accompanied by a piercing sound, the little rabbit rushed out from the mountain below and stood on the opposite side of the space-time crack, frowning. Someone came to Sky Cloud Realm again? Not long after, a white figure walked out from the space-time crack. It was a woman. She was about 1.75 meters tall, with an exquisite figure, wearing a white plain dress, clean and neat, looking extremely simple. But the woman's appearance was shocking. Her black hair was like a waterfall, and her facial features were beautiful. She could be described as a peerless beauty. The most important thing was her temperament. She was like a fairy who didn't eat the food of mortals. But between her eyebrows, there was always a trace of melancholy that couldn't be dispelled. A woman? The little rabbit looked at the woman in white in astonishment. At the same time, the woman in white glanced at the surrounding sea and murmured, "Is this the Sky Cloud Realm?" Her eyes also seemed very melancholic. But in the melancholy, there was a trace of expectation. It seemed to be an expectation for someone. "Damn, do you think Uncle Rabbit is air?" The little rabbit raised her eyebrows. The woman in white also finally retracted her gaze, looked at the little rabbit, and bowed. Greetings, Senior. Senior? The little rabbit was stunned and smiled. You little girl, you have a little eyesight. When other women see Uncle Rabbit, they keep rubbing up and saying that Uncle Rabbit is cute and annoying. The woman in white smiled gently and said, Then Senior, is this the Sky Cloud realm? Yes. The little rabbit nodded. The woman in white asked, May I ask, Senior, have you seen a man named Qin Feiyang? Qin Feiyang? The little rabbit was surprised. She actually knew Old Third. After pondering for a while, a sly look flashed in her eyes, and she said, Uncle Rabbit has seen all the people from the lower realm. Is this what Qin Feiyang looks like? The little rabbit waved its paw and condensed the shadow of Qin Feiyang. Brother Feiyang. The woman in white suddenly had a trace of joy in her eyes, and she couldn't help but call him Brother Feiyang. What the hell? Brother Feiyang? The little rabbit was stunned. Such an intimate name. It seemed that their relationship wasn't ordinary. The woman in white came back to her senses and looked at the little rabbit, asking, Can you tell me where he is now? Well. The little rabbit grinned and pointed to the sea below. The woman in white looked down at the sea below, her face full of suspicion. What did this mean? He has been killed by Uncle Rabbit and thrown into the sea to feed the sea beasts. By the way, there is also a boy named Madman Emo, the little rabbit said. What? When the woman in white heard this, her eyes suddenly trembled, and her face immediately turned pale. As soon as these two boys came to the Sky Cloud realm, they were extremely arrogant. Uncle Rabbit couldn't stand it, so I slapped them to death. Before the little rabbit finished speaking, it felt a cold aura shrouding towards it. It saw the woman in white with a frosty face and indifference in her eyes. It was as if she had changed into a different person in an instant. What? You still want to avenge them? The little rabbit looked at the woman in white with disdain. Even if I die, I won't hesitate. The woman in white spoke word by word. Her voice was sonorous and forceful, and it carried with it an indestructible will. Then with a loud bang, the power of the heavenly laws surged out, and the space here instantly turned into nothingness. Law of nothingness? The little rabbit was slightly stunned, and a trace of shock appeared in its eyes. It looked at the woman in white's cultivation. She was only at the initial imperishable stage, but she had comprehended the law of nothingness? This talent was a bit amazing. The woman in white raised her arm and pointed her index finger at the little rabbit. An invisible power of nothingness burst out like a torrent, roaring towards the little rabbit. Little girl, you are very irrational to attack in front of Uncle Rabbit. The corner of the little rabbit's mouth lifted, and it remained motionless, allowing the power of nothingness to blast towards it. Boom! Immediately, the little rabbit was drowned by the power of nothingness, but it was as if nothing had happened. Not a single hair on its body was lost. So powerful. The woman in white's pupils shrank. Even a little rabbit was so terrifying. What about the people of the Sky Cloud realm? Wouldn't they be even more terrifying? However, she did not retreat because of this. Her gaze was like a sharp blade, locking onto the little rabbit. Chapter 34:55. Boom! Suddenly, the white-clothed woman emitted a black force and an aura of death suddenly enveloped all directions. What? The little rabbit was shocked. It's actually the law of death again. The law of death, the law of nothingness, minor immortal realm, and already grasped two supreme laws. This little girl's talent is a bit terrifying. Boom! The law of nothingness reappeared. Coupled with the law of death, the two supreme laws carried a monstrous aura and rushed towards the little rabbit. The little rabbit's eyes flashed. In the face of the two supreme laws, it was completely indifferent. It looked at the white-clothed woman and asked, Did you inherit this? Or did you comprehend it yourself? I comprehended it myself. The white-clothed woman said coldly. Sure. The little rabbit muttered. With just a minor immortal realm cultivation base, it could comprehend two supreme laws by itself. This comprehension ability can be said to surpass all the young people in the Sky Cloud realm. Even Frenzy and Qin Feiyang can't compare. Of course, to comprehend the laws, comprehension ability is only a part. The most important part is luck and opportunity. Although the white-clothed woman's cultivation base is relatively weak, to be able to comprehend two supreme laws, she must be a person with great luck. Just as the little rabbit was pondering, the two supreme laws surged over. The white-clothed woman's face was full of expectation, hoping that these two supreme laws could seriously injure the little rabbit. She couldn't be blamed for having such a naive idea. After all, she just came from the lower realm and knew nothing about the situation in the sky cloud realm. She also didn't know the strength of the little rabbit. Under her expectant gaze, the two supreme laws drowned the little rabbit. But the little rabbit stood in the middle of the supreme laws. Its body was like a sovereign weapon, unable to cause any damage to it. How is this possible? The white-clothed woman was dumbfounded. Even after activating two supreme laws, it couldn't hurt the little rabbit at all? What kind of powerhouse is this? Suddenly, the little rabbit waved its paw, and the death and nothingness laws around its body immediately dissipated, leaving no trace. If only I could comprehend the profound laws, the white-clothed woman murmured. Profound laws? The little rabbit was slightly stunned and said disdainfully, even if you comprehend the supreme profound, it's useless. Supreme profound? The white-robed woman was stunned. For someone like you who came from the lower realm, you don't even know what the ultimate profound meaning is. What right do you have to clamor with Lord Rabbit? The little rabbit said disdainfully. A monstrous divine might erupted, like a tidal wave, instantly enveloping the white-robed woman. In the depths of her heart, the threat of death enveloped her. He felt as if he wasn't facing a little rabbit, but an overlord of the world. Brother Feiyang, I'm sorry. I don't even have the ability to avenge you, the white-clothed woman murmured as 2 drops of tears rolled down her face. The little rabbit's brows furrowed slightly as she asked suspiciously, just who are you to Qin Feiyang? What does that have to do with you? The white-clothed woman's face turned frosty again. The little rabbit teased, if you tell Uncle Rabbit the truth, Uncle Rabbit might give you a way out. No need. The woman in white said coldly. No need. The little rabbit was slightly taken aback. She sized up the white-clothed woman and indeed didn't reveal any signs of imminent danger. She nodded and praised, not only is your comprehension good, but you also have a backbone. Uncle Rabbit likes you. The white-clothed woman's gaze became colder. It's not that Uncle Rabbit looks down on you, but with your little strength, any random person in the Sky Cloud realm can kill you thousands of times, not to mention taking revenge on Uncle Rabbit. How about this? You follow Uncle Rabbit first, and Uncle Rabbit will teach you cultivation. When you become stronger, you can take revenge on Uncle Rabbit. The little rabbit grinned. What? The white-clothed woman was stunned. She actually wanted to teach her cultivation? Was this little rabbit sick? The little rabbit asked. Don't you want to take revenge for Qin Feiyang? Yes. The white-clothed woman nodded. Still not nodding. It's not that Uncle Rabbit is bragging, but in the Sky Cloud realm, other than Uncle Rabbit, no one can defeat Uncle Rabbit. Being invincible is so lonely. So, if you want to take revenge, you can only follow Uncle Rabbit to cultivate. The little rabbit drank a mouthful of Xuanwu divine wine and smiled proudly. The white-clothed woman looked at the little rabbit in silence, as if she wanted to see through what the little rabbit wanted to do. At the same time, Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf stood at the edge of a cliff, looking at the 9-dragon mountain range ahead. The white-eyed wolf frowned and said, if we go now, wouldn't it be inappropriate? What if the other princes and princesses had already received the news and came to the Alliance capital? If they went to find the silver-haired woman now, it would be the same as walking into a trap. You are becoming more and more cautious. This doesn't suit your personality. Qin Feiyang heard this and looked at the white-eyed wolf with a trace of ridicule in his eyes. I haven't lived long enough and I don't want to die. If you want to court death, then go ahead. I won't stop you. The white-eyed wolf snorted coldly. It also wanted to swagger to the Alliance capital like before, but the current situation didn't allow it. If it wasn't careful, it would lose its life. Qin Feiyang smiled and lowered his head to ponder. Now that he didn't know the situation in the Alliance capital, he didn't dare to directly send a message to his master. What if the people of the dragons were right next to his master? However, the Alliance capital was sealed off by a barrier. It was almost impossible to sneak in silently. Suddenly, Qin Feiyong's eyes lit up. He finally had an idea. Incarnation. He was going to use all 3,000 incarnations to find the silver-haired woman. Even if this was a trap, even if the other princes and princesses came to the Alliance capital, it didn't matter. Because even if all 3,000 incarnations were killed, it wouldn't affect him at all. Shua. With a thought, an incarnation appeared. Qin Feiyong looked at the incarnation and said with a smile, "You know what I'm thinking, right? We are originally one, so of course I know." The incarnation said. "Then go." Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. The incarnation nodded and used the space-time step to rush toward the Alliance capital. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed. He also brought the white-eyed wolf and disappeared into the mountains below. The Alliance capital. At this moment everyone was anxious. They didn't understand why Qin Feiyong would fall out with the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Everyone knew about the relationship between Qin Feiyong and the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Firstly, he was the disciple of the Vice Alliance leader. Secondly, he had saved the Alliance leader and the two divine pythons. Lastly, the Rogue Cultivator Alliance was able to rule the Western mainland because of Qin Feiyong. Could be said that, for the Rogue Cultivator Alliance to be where it was today, Qin Feiyong's contributions couldn't go unnoticed. From this, it could be seen how good Qin Feiyong was to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance in the past. But why did he seem like a different person after disappearing for a period of time? Could it be, during this period of time, did the Alliance leader and the others do anything treacherous to Qin Feiyong? Someone guessed. Bang! Suddenly, in the sky, a powerful aura descended. This aura, it's Qin Feiyong again. Everyone was shocked and hurriedly ran out to look at the sky. Qin Feiyong, what are you trying to do? 3 figures rushed out angrily. It was Xingde and his 2 brothers. In fact, they didn't know that this was just an incarnation. Your Rogue Cultivator Alliance didn't let me have a good time. So I won't let your Rogue Cultivator Alliance have a good day either. The incarnation said coldly. Destructive force surged out, accompanied by a deafening roar. And a gray giant beast appeared out of nowhere. This giant beast looked strange. Dragon head, phoenix tail, qilin body, bull horns on its head, fur like a lion, and the most peculiar thing was that on its back, there were 9 pairs of gray wings. It was hard to describe its appearance, but the destructive force emitted from its body was extremely terrifying. This is the 5th profound of the law of destruction, destructive giant beast. Xingde and his brother's eyes trembled. They didn't expect this kid to comprehend the law of destruction after entering the Yin Devil land. Although they were happy for Qin Feiyong from the bottom of their hearts, they still had to continue acting. Don't be presumptuous here. Xingde roared. Presumptuous? The incarnation smiled coldly and said, I want to be presumptuous here for you to see. I want you to pay the price for angering me. As his voice fell, the destructive giant beast immediately charged downward. The enchantment set up by the Alliance Master appeared. The destructive giant beast slammed on the enchantment, but it didn't budge at all. After all, the Alliance Master's strength was much stronger than Qin Feiyong's. You can't even break the Alliance Master's enchantment. What right do you have to be arrogant here? Xingde and his brothers looked disdainful. The incarnation raised his eyebrows. But at this moment, the silver-haired woman appeared with the 2 old women. An inexplicable light flashed in the silver-haired woman's eyes. She looked at the incarnation and said, You really don't know what's good for you. The incarnation looked at the silver-haired woman, and then at the Alliance capital. It seemed that the other princes and princesses hadn't come to the Alliance capital yet. Otherwise, they would have appeared by now. If you have the ability, come and kill me. The incarnation looked at the silver-haired woman and sneered. Then, he turned and flew away at lightning speed. Courting death. A cold light flashed in the eyes of the 2 old women in white. They were about to give chase when the silver-haired woman stopped them. She shook her head and said, Don't chase. Be careful of traps. But he's too arrogant. He doesn't put us in his eyes at all. Their faces were gloomy. He won't be arrogant for long. The silver-haired woman smiled faintly. She looked at the 2 and said, I don't trust the people of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. You 2 go and personally investigate the whereabouts of Zhuo Tiansheng and the others. That's not appropriate. We have to stay and protect you. The 2 hurriedly said. It's okay. I'm not going out alone. There won't be any danger. Besides, isn't it the silver dragon Bao? The silver-haired woman said. All right then. The two looked at each other, nodded in agreement and turned to leave. The silver-haired woman looked at the two's back. A light flashed in her eyes. Then she flew down and disappeared into a courtyard. Time flew by. Night fell. The mountain in the night seemed very quiet. A white figure stood quietly under the night sky. There was no aura on his body like a ghost. He was the incarnation that went to find the silver-haired woman during the day. At this moment he was in the original Maple Leaf Valley. As for Qin Feiyang's original body and the white-eyed wolf, they were nowhere to be seen. Chapter 3456. Whoosh! Soon, another figure silently appeared in the sky above the valley. It was the silver-haired woman. She stopped in the air above the valley and looked down. Soon she saw the incarnation, and a smile appeared on her face. That was right. The incarnation had sent a message to the silver-haired woman when he went to the Alliance capital during the day. He had arranged to meet her here and only her. Are you sure that your two followers didn't follow you? When the silver-haired woman landed in front of the incarnation immediately asked. The silver-haired woman smiled and said, What do you think? I'm not in the mood to joke with you. The incarnation's face was cold. You're so boring. The silver-haired woman shook her head and said indifferently, After you left, I sent them away. If you don't believe me, you can check with your divine telekinesis. The incarnation didn't hold back and released his divine telekinesis in all directions. Seeing this, the silver-haired woman felt helpless. Couldn't they trust each other more? After confirming that they didn't follow, the incarnation heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he looked at the silver-haired woman and smiled. You really dare to come alone? Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you here? Do you dare? Besides, with the silver dragon Bao, can you kill me? The silver-haired woman smiled mockingly. Silver dragon Bao? The incarnation raised his eyebrows. The silver-haired woman said, It's my sovereign divine weapon. Its full name is the silver dragon god Bao. What? Didn't I tell you to come alone? Besides, this sovereign divine weapon has its own consciousness. Aren't you afraid that it will betray you? You have to be clear. If your clansmen knew that you came to see me in secret, what would they think? The incarnation sneered. Don't worry. Everyone in this world can betray me. But the silver dragon Bao won't. The silver-haired woman smiled confidently and said, Tell me, why did you ask me to come here? Aren't you asking the obvious? The incarnation raised his eyebrows. I really don't know. You're the one who asked me, not the other way around. The silver-haired woman was helpless. The incarnation frowned and suppressed the anger in his heart. He said in a deep voice, I don't want to talk nonsense with you. Tell me, who is the person who opened the eye of heaven for you dragons? So, it's because of that. The silver-haired woman nodded in realization. The incarnation was a little impatient and said angrily, How long are you going to play dumb? The silver-haired woman chuckled and nodded. All right, I'll be serious. But I also hope that you can show some sincerity. Let your true body come out. I'm not interested in negotiating with a doppelganger. The incarnation's pupils shrank. The silver-haired woman asked, That's strange. Why do I know that you aren't the main body? What did you say? I don't understand. The incarnation shook his head. Looks like you also know how to play dumb. The silver-haired woman chuckled and said, Since you don't want to talk, then forget it. Goodbye. After saying that, he turned around and left. At this moment, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf walked out of the darkness. The silver-haired woman stopped and turned around to look at the man and the wolf. A trace of mockery seemed to flash in her eyes. Qin Feiyang looked at the incarnation and smiled. Thank you for your hard work. The avatar smiled and then disappeared. You can still communicate with each other? Looking at Qin Feiyang and the incarnation, the silver-haired woman's eyes were full of surprise. I hope you can forgive me. After all, we are opponents. You can't trust us and we can't trust you. However, you can actually see that he's not my true body. It really surprised me. Qin Feiyang looked at the silver-haired woman, first politely apologized, then curiously smiled. There's nothing to be surprised about. There's a good saying that the world is big and full of strange things, so there's no shortage of divine arts or battle souls that can see through illusions, the silver-haired woman said. Divine arts, battle souls. Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. He suddenly thought that Dragon Sovereign and Dragon Princess also seemed to have this ability. Could it be that this woman's battle soul was the same as Dragon Sovereign and Dragon Princess's ability? Actually, you don't have to be so guarded against me. There's no need to let a doppelganger test me. Because if I really wanted to kill you, I wouldn't have waited until now. I would have already done it in the heavenly cloud sea. And I also know that the one in the heavenly cloud sea was not your true body. It should be one of your men in disguise, but I didn't say it out loud. This is enough to show my sincerity. The silver-haired woman smiled. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were shocked when they heard this. They really didn't expect that even the second commander's disguise couldn't deceive this woman's eyes. Wait. She saw through the second commander's disguise. Would she think that we and the Rogue Cultivator Alliance are all acting? The white-eyed wolf transmitted his voice. That shouldn't be. After all, letting the second commander's disguise doesn't directly prove anything, Qin Feiyang secretly said. However, this woman was indeed a bit difficult to deal with, not because of anything else, but because of her ability to see through falsehood and distinguish between truth and falsehood. Back then, when he dealt with the dragons and the princess of the dragons, it was because of this ability that he suffered losses repeatedly. So he was very afraid of this ability. I'm really curious. What were you doing in the heavenly cloud sea? Why did you let someone else replace you? Is there any point in doing so? The silver-haired woman was curious. This doesn't seem to have anything to do with our negotiation, right? Besides, aren't you the same? You told me this information in secret and came to meet me as promised. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. The silver-haired woman was stunned and shook her head with a smile. Well, let's not waste time on these boring questions. My dragons have indeed opened the eye of heaven, and you have seen it. Seen it? Qin Feiyang frowned and said in a deep voice. Is it really the prince of the Golden Dragon clan? You already thought of it? The silver-haired woman looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and said, Don't worry about this, why tell me this? What are your conditions? Straightforward. I only have one condition, and that is to kill him. A trace of killing intent flashed in the silver-haired woman's eyes. Kill him? Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other. They expected that the dragons were not very united, but they didn't expect that the struggle would be so fierce that this woman would unite with an enemy and use it to eliminate her own people. Why do you want to kill him? Do you have a grudge? The white-eyed wolf came back to his senses and looked at the silver-haired woman and asked. The silver-haired woman smiled but didn't say anything. The white-eyed wolf frowned. It seemed that he didn't intend to say anything. Qin Feiyang looked at the silver-haired woman and his eyes flickered. Suddenly, he smiled and said, Sure, after all, killing him is also beneficial to me. Of course, you can devour his battle soul and complete your Eye of Heaven. At that time, with the power of the Eye of Heaven, you will be able to sweep through everything. The silver-haired woman smiled. Qin Feiyang said, You also know this. Then it seems that the 10 battle souls aren't a secret among you dragons. Of course. Last time, my big brother went to find you to test your strength and see if he had a chance to take away your Eye of Heaven. You're quite strong. You actually killed his follower. That's also why I want to cooperate with you. The silver-haired woman smiled. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and said, Since it's a cooperation, then you can't be the only one who benefits. Tell me, what benefits can I get from you? Isn't it enough that you have his Eye of Heaven? The silver-haired woman asked. Do you think I'm stupid? The Eye of Heaven is my spoil of war. It has nothing to do with our cooperation. Even if we don't cooperate now, I will still find a chance to kill him and take away his Eye of Heaven, Qin Feiyang said indifferently. If that's the case, then there's no need for me to cooperate with you because you will kill him sooner or later anyway. The silver-haired woman said. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. This woman really knew how to seize the opportunity. She made him a little speechless. It seemed that among these princes and princesses, the most worthy one was this woman in front of him. To be honest, although your ability is not bad, it will still be very difficult to kill him. I can provide you with information about him, and I can also provide you with a certain amount of help at a critical moment. In fact, this is a matter of mutual benefit. If you insist on getting benefits from me, then I can only say sorry. Besides, you have a sovereign divine weapon, a divine art like slaughter domain, and an independent world in your hands. Tell me, what better things can I give you? The silver-haired woman smiled and then said, as long as we have the same goal, it's fine. Don't be too greedy. That won't be of much benefit to you. Qin Feiyang was silent. The silver-haired woman didn't say anything else and quietly waited for Qin Feiyang's reply. After a long while, Qin Feiyang nodded and said, all right, let's cooperate. However, during this period of cooperation, you must promise me that you will not plot against me behind my back. Of course, me coming to cooperate with you is equivalent to me giving you something to use against me. How would I dare to plot against you behind your back? If you fall out with me and expose this matter, then my fate may be even worse than yours in the future. I will never do something that doesn't benefit me. The silver-haired woman smiled and then raised her white jade-like hand and said, then I wish us a happy cooperation. Qin Feiyang glanced at the silver-haired woman's hand and smiled faintly. Forget it. All right. The silver-haired woman shook her head and smiled helplessly. Then she took out a divine sound transmission stone and said, then we have to establish a contract. Otherwise, when I have any information to give you, I won't be able to contact you. Little Qin Zi, be careful. White-eyed Wolf looked at the silver-haired woman's divine sound transmission stone and secretly said, I know. Qin Feiyang secretly replied. Looking at the silver-haired woman's divine sound transmission stone, he also hesitated. Chapter 3457. If it was someone else, he would definitely not hesitate to take out the divine sound transmission stone and establish a contract bridge. But this woman had the ability to peek into the void and distinguish between the real and the fake. What if she could also sense his location through the contract bridge? Then, wouldn't this woman be able to grasp his whereabouts at any time? But, if he didn't establish a contract bridge, it would indeed be difficult to contact in the future. And there was also a greater risk. Because he didn't establish a contract bridge, he would have to get someone to pass the message or communicate in advance to set a fixed place to meet. In this way, there were many possibilities. For example, if he got someone to pass the message, it would easily expose the people around him. Another example would be a fixed location. What if this woman asked him to meet and ambushed him in advance? Therefore, this matter had to be handled carefully. Aren't you being too cautious? I'm already like this, can't you trust me? The silver-haired woman looked at Qin Feiyang, who didn't move for a long time. Her face full of helplessness. It's better to be safe than sorry. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and finally thought of the best way. He transmitted his voice, Fire Lotus, give me an unused divine sound transmission stone. Okay. Fire Lotus replied. When Qin Feiyang bought the divine sound transmission stone in the Demon Tower, he bought a total of 1,000 pieces, and the people and beasts in the Devil's Land added up to less than 100, so there were still a lot left. Soon, Qin Feiyang concealed it a little and took out the divine sound transmission stone, generously establishing a contract bridge with the silver-haired woman. The silver-haired woman's face also crawled with a smile, then put away the divine sound transmission stone, looked at Qin Feiyang and said, I'll give you the first information. The prince you want to find is indeed the prince of the Golden Dragon clan. He's the eldest among us princes and princesses, so we all call him Big Brother. What else? Qin Feiyang asked. At present, he is still rebuilding his body in the dragon nest, but it won't take long because the time array of our dragon nest is 5,000 years a day. When he rebuilds his body, he will definitely come out of the dragon nest to settle the score with you, the silver-haired woman said. What? Your dragon nest also has a 1-day 5,000 years time array. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were shocked. The silver-haired woman was slightly taken aback. She asked suspiciously, why would you say that? Could it be that you also have a time array that lasts 5,000 years in a day? The man and wolf didn't answer. This was because they naturally couldn't expose their weaknesses to their enemies. Although they were working together now, they would definitely fall out in the future. Looks like you guys aren't simple. The silver-haired woman looked at the man and wolf meaningfully and continued. This big brother of mine is ruthless and vengeful. When he comes out of the dragon's nest, he will definitely bring some experts with him. He might also let these people hide in spatial divine items, so you'd better be mentally prepared. Will you bring a sovereign weapon? White-eyed wolf asked. Do you still need to ask? You have 2 sovereign-level divine weapons. If he doesn't use his sovereign-level divine weapon, how is he going to fight you? The silver-haired woman said. Qin Feiyang said. Then can you tell us about your dragon nest's background? What do you think? The silver-haired woman asked with a hint of mockery in her eyes. Qin Feiyang nodded helplessly. All right, pretend I didn't ask. But I have a question that I believe won't make things too difficult for you. What question? The silver-haired woman was suspicious. Qin Feiyang asked, There's a fire dragon in the inner region. What's its relationship with you dragons? Fire dragon? The silver-haired woman was stunned. After pondering for a while, she said, You mean the fire dragon that came from the lower world? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. It has nothing to do with us dragons. It's also because of the dragon god that we dragons let it stay in the inner region. Speaking of which, you should know it better than us. After all, I heard that you guys are old rivals. The silver-haired woman smiled. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang lowered his head and pondered for a while. A cold light flashed in his eyes. He looked at the silver-haired woman and said, Since it has nothing to do with you dragons and we're in a cooperative relationship now, why don't you do me a small favor and find a chance to trick it out? No problem. The silver-haired woman nodded. Straightforward. All right then, inform me immediately if there's any information. Qin Feiyang admired this woman. She had wisdom, courage, and means. He believed that their future cooperation wouldn't be too tiring. All right. The silver-haired woman nodded again. Qin Feiyang turned to the white-eyed wolf and said, Let's go. The white-eyed wolf waved its claws and a space-time transmission channel appeared. Qin Feiyang was about to enter when he suddenly stopped. He turned to look at the silver-haired woman and said, There's one more thing. Other than the Eye of Heaven, is there anyone else in your dragon clan who has activated the other 9 great battle souls? Why are you asking about this? The silver-haired woman was stunned and then said, Could it be that there are other people around you who have also opened the 9 strongest war spirits? That's none of your business. Qin Feiyang said. I'll think about whether I should tell you about this after you kill my big brother. The silver-haired woman smiled. All right. Qin Feiyang nodded and then walked into the space-time transmission channel with the white-eyed wolf without looking back. I can't see through him, I really can't see through him. The silver-haired woman looked at Qin Feiyang's disappearing figure and muttered to herself. When the space-time transmission channel disappeared, a hoarse voice suddenly sounded in the silver-haired woman's body. There's someone you can't see through? My war spirit isn't omnipotent. Although I can see through falsehood, I can't see through a person's heart. The silver-haired woman smiled bitterly. Haha. The hoarse voice laughed and then was silent for a while before asking, Do you really want to do this? The silver-haired woman was stunned and immediately lowered her head. She was silent, but there was a shocking cold light in her eyes. It seems that you still haven't walked out of the shadow of that incident. The hoarse voice sighed. I want to, but I can't. I can't get over the hurdle in my heart. A blood debt must be repaid with blood. The silver-haired woman clenched her hands and said with a bone-piercing chill. The hoarse voice fell silent. After a long time. No matter what you do, I'll support you. However, you have to know your limits. Qin Feiyang is smarter than we thought. Don't be used by him in the end. The hoarse voice warned. I know. The silver-haired woman nodded and then released her hands. She laughed and said, It's not that easy to use me, is it? You little girl. The hoarse voice could not help but laugh and then fell silent. The western mainland. Somewhere on the edge. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf appeared out of thin air. The white-eyed wolf looked at the divine sound transmission stone in Qin Feiyang's hand and asked, This doesn't seem to be your divine sound transmission stone? Of course not. This is a new one. I asked the fire lotus to give it to me. Qin Feiyang looked down at the divine sound transmission stone and said with a smile. Huh. Is there any difference? The white-eyed wolf was suspicious. Of course there is. Qin Feiyong nodded and said with a smile, let's go to the heavenly cloud sea. Where's Little Rabbit? The white-eyed wolf was suspicious. No, anywhere is fine. Qin Feiyong smiled. Okay. The white-eyed wolf opened another space-time transmission channel. Soon, the two arrived above a sea area, and this was the place where the white-eyed wolf and the others were fighting with the dragons. Qin Feiyong glanced at the sea area and released his divine will. After a while, he sensed the aura of a sea beast nearby. Swish! Immediately after, Qin Feiyong took a step forward and landed above the sea area. With the point of his finger, a wisp of divine power appeared and blasted into the sea area. Roar! Accompanied by a furious roar, a sea lion that was over 300 meters in size roared out of the water with a monstrous aura, causing huge waves to surge up into the sky. Brother, calm down. Qin Feiyong hurriedly waved his hand. The sea lion was stunned and looked at Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf, and said in surprise, it's you guys? You know us? The white-eyed wolf was suspicious. Qin Feiyong, who doesn't know? The sea lion smiled. Am I so famous? Qin Feiyong couldn't help but laugh. Of course. But what are you doing here in my territory? The sea lion looked at Qin Feiyong suspiciously. I want to ask you for a favor. Qin Feiyong smiled. I see. The sea lion nodded and pondered for a while, then said, then tell me, as long as I can help, I will try my best to help. Qin Feiyong handed the divine sound transmission stone to the sea lion. What do you mean? The sea lion looked at the divine sound transmission stone and looked at Qin Feiyong suspiciously. Help me keep this divine sound transmission stone safe. If someone sends a message to this divine sound transmission stone in the future, inform me immediately, Qin Feiyong said. Why do you want me to keep it safe for you? The sea lion was puzzled. The white-eyed wolf said discontentedly, just keep it safe for now. Do you know that little rabbit on Sky Cloud Island? That's little Qin Zi's sworn brother. Can't you give him some face? You and Master Rabbit are sworn brothers? The sea lion looked at Qin Feiyong in surprise. Yes. Qin Feiyong nodded. Really? It will be sworn brothers with you humans? The sea lion was a little skeptical. Qin Feiyong smiled and said, if you don't believe me, you can ask. Forget it, I can't afford to offend it. The sea lion shook his head quickly, then took the divine sound transmission stone and said, okay, I'll keep it safe for you, but you have to make it clear first. Don't cause me trouble. Don't worry. Besides, with the beast god protecting you, what are you afraid of? Qin Feiyong laughed. That's true. Just today, weren't you fighting with a group of people nearby? In the end, those people came to catch me and asked me to tell them the coordinates of White Crane Island. There was a young man who wanted to kill me. In the end, he was punished by the divine beast and his body was shattered on the spot. What a mess. The sea lion sneered. What? The sea beast they caught at that time was you. Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf were stunned. This was too much fate. Chapter 3458. That's right. The sea lion nodded. Haha, fate. The white-eyed wolf laughed. It was such a coincidence that they met the same sea beast. The sea lion also laughed. No matter what, Qin Feiyong was someone worth currying favor with. Qin Feiyong glanced at the white-eyed wolf and said, since fate has brought us together, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and take out the divine wine and thank him. Yes. The white-eyed wolf nodded repeatedly and took out 10 jars of black tortoise divine wine, placing them in front of the sea lion. Divine wine? The sea lion was stunned for a moment and looked at the 10 jars with suspicion. This is a genuine divine wine. The white-eyed wolf said. Is that so? The sea lion suspiciously opened a wine jar, and a dragon shadow made of alcohol immediately rushed out of the wine jar. It's really a divine wine? The sea lion was stunned for a moment. Then he hugged the jar in joy and smelled it with an intoxicated expression. Seems like we're kindred spirits. The white-eyed wolf smiled. Haha, the sea lion laughed heartily. Looking at the man and the wolf, he said solemnly, from now on, your business is my business. Don't worry, from now on, I will protect this divine sound transmission stone. Thank you very much. Qin Feiyong cupped his hands and smiled. You're welcome. The sea lion swung its claws and swallowed its saliva. Just as it was about to taste the black tortoise divine brew, it suddenly thought of something. It looked at Qin Feiyong suspiciously and said, I can't recover your divine sound transmission stone, so how will I know who is looking for you? You don't have to worry about that. There's only one contract bridge in this divine sound transmission stone. So you just need to inform me, and I'll know who's looking for you. Qin Feiyong said. I see. The sea lion nodded and smiled. All right. Let's establish a contract bridge so I can inform you when the time comes. You also have a divine sound transmission stone? The white-eyed wolf looked at the sea lion in surprise. What do you mean by that? Am I not worthy of the legend stone? The sea lion looked at the white-eyed wolf with dissatisfaction. No. The white-eyed wolf waved its paws and laughed. I just felt a little surprised. I thought that sea beasts don't need the rumor stone. You're also a vicious beast, so why do you need it? The sea lion asked. Ugh. The white-eyed wolf was stunned. He forced a smile and said, I'm sorry. I've offended you. No. We're just discussing a problem. There's nothing offensive about it. The sea lion shook its head. After Qin Feiyong and the sea lion established a contract bridge, Qin Feiyong smiled and said, All right then, we'll take our leave first. Take your time to drink. All right. The sea lion nodded. Qin Feiyong turned to look at the white-eyed wolf and said, Let's go to Sky Cloud Island. The white-eyed wolf waved its paws and opened a space-time transmission channel. Then a man and a wolf quickly walked in. They're actually going to the Sky Cloud realm. It seems that their relationship with Uncle Rabbit isn't simple. But what does this have to do with me? The sea lion muttered, then smiled, hugged the wine jar, and licked it slightly. So refreshing. It shuddered and raised its head, pouring the jar of black tortoise divine brew into its mouth. Sky Cloud Island. Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf arrived at the top of the mountain. The white-eyed wolf looked at Qin Feiyong suspiciously and asked, What do you mean by giving it the divine sound transmission stone? It's very simple. Let it be a transit station. In this way, even if the Princess of the Dragons can accurately locate our position through the divine sound transmission stone, she will only be able to locate the sea lion. And we can escape from her prying eyes. Qin Feiyong smiled. So it's like this. Then aren't you harming the sea lion? The white-eyed wolf frowned. Harming? Didn't I just say that the beast god is overseeing the Sky Cloud Sea? Who dares to mess around here? So it's absolutely safe. Qin Feiyong smiled slightly. That's true. The white-eyed wolf nodded, glanced at Qin Feiyong, and said contemptuously, You're really getting more and more treacherous. How can you say that? Is this treacherous? It's obviously smart. Qin Feiyong smiled narcissistically. It was rare for him to be so narcissistic. Shameless. The white-eyed wolf rolled his eyes, glanced at the top of the mountain, and asked suspiciously, Where's the little rabbit? Why don't I see it? Didn't it say that it wanted to make some arrangements? Let's not disturb it. Let's go to the Black Tortoise world and see how the Fire Lotus is preparing. After Qin Feiyong finished speaking, he was ready to go to the Black Tortoise world, but suddenly glanced around and frowned slightly. What's wrong? The white-eyed wolf was suspicious. Did you notice that there are some traces of battle here? Qin Feiyong looked at the ground and asked suspiciously, Battle? The white-eyed wolf was slightly taken aback, speechless. Are you stupid? Why don't you think about who came here to make trouble? It should be that little rabbit alone. That's true. Qin Feiyong nodded. In the entire Sky Cloud realm, no one dared to make trouble on Sky Cloud Island. Outside, 3 days passed. And in the Black Tortoise world it has been 3,000 years. Morning. Above the Devil's Land, Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf stood together. On the opposite side there were thousands of people. For example, the Fire Lotus Mermaid Princess Tantai Li Qin Rushuang Zhao Tai Lai Willow Tree Chui Li Dan Wang Kai Mu Tianyang and so on. There were also Xia Yuan and the other 64 divine generals Blood Qilin, Fire Dragon, White Jade Qilin, Black Dragon, Fire Lotus, Lei Bao, Hei Bao and so on. Even Yi Tian Zhua Tiansheng Long Tianyu Wang Xiaojie Qin Chan Zhua Xiaocheng and Zhua Xiaoxian were there. In short, 6,000 shadow guards Wang Chongyuan and the other 10 commanders Pei Tianhong, and everyone in the Devil's Land, All the beasts were there at this moment, including Pi Lupi and Theta Wang. You all opened the door of potential. Qin Feiyong glanced at the group of people and said with a smile, Thank you, young master. The 6,000 shadow guards and the other 8 commanders nodded and bowed to thank him. Their faces were full of gratitude. They never thought that happiness would come so quickly. Originally, they were still pondering how to make Qin Feiyong satisfied with their performance, so that they could open the door to their potential. However, all of a sudden, Huolian descended on the central state and said that she would help them open the door to their potential. For them it was like a dream. Qin Feiyong asked, "The Fire Lotus should have told you about the situation, right?" Everyone nodded. "This is an opportunity that the White-Eyed Wolf and I fought hard to get for you. You must cherish it. I hope that the next time you appear, you will become a hero who can dominate a region." Qin Feiyong said, "We will not let you down, young master." The 6,000 shadow guards roared in unison with a determined light in their eyes. "Don't let me down. Don't let yourselves down. Humans have to work hard to move forward. To put it simply, if you don't make progress and just wait for death, what's the difference between you and a salted fish? I believe that none of you are willing to be a salted fish. In short, since you have appeared in this world, you must live your life vigorously. Our goal is not to rule the Sky Cloud realm, nor to defeat the dragons, but to break the rules of this world, transcend the laws of heaven and earth, and come to the outer world. Our fate must be controlled by ourselves. No one else is qualified." Qin Feiyong shouted. His words made everyone's spirits rise and their blood boil. He really knows how to stir up people's hearts. Mu Tianyang pursed his lips. "But you can't deny that his goal is great. And it is also my goal," Dong Zhengyang whispered. Mu Tianyang glanced at Dong Zhengyang and murmured, "That is to fight the heavens, the earth, and the god of creation. Are you afraid?" Dong Zhengyang asked. "Don't provoke me. I'm not interested in this. My only goal is to kill all of you, my fated enemies." Mu Tianyang coldly snorted. "We're your fated enemies?" Dong Zhengyang was speechless. He wanted to say, "Brother, is your brain rusty? You still haven't figured out the situation?" But after thinking about it, he decided to forget it. Everyone has their own ambitions. There was no need to force them. "In that case, let's go out." Qin Feiyong smiled and waved his hand, leading a group of people to appear in the sky above Sky Cloud Island. Many of them had never been to Sky Cloud Island in person, so they looked at Sky Cloud Island, especially the spacetime crack leading to the lower realm, with a look of curiosity. "Senior brother, this is an opportunity to surpass me. Don't be lazy." Qin Feiyong looked at Madman and smiled. "Do I need you to tell me that?" Madman coldly snorted. Hearing this, the mermaid princess looked at Qin Feiyong and asked, "Feiyong, aren't you going to cultivate here?" "Me?" Qin Feiyong was slightly stunned. After pondering for a while, he said, "We'll see. Maybe I'll go to the other 3 forbidden areas." "Just you alone?" "I don't agree. It's too dangerous," the mermaid princess immediately said. Qin Feiyong held the mermaid princess's hand, his face full of love, and said with a smile, "I'll be careful. You don't have to worry about me. Follow Big Brother and cultivate well. Maybe I'll need you to save me." "But," the mermaid princess frowned. "Enough. It's not like you don't know his bad temper. Will he change his mind?" Qin Rushuang glanced at Qin Feiyong and then looked at the mermaid princess. "Sigh." The mermaid princess sighed and fell silent. Pei Tianhong glanced at Qin Feiyong and the others. His eyes flashed slightly as he looked at Qin Feiyong and said, "Young master, since you're going to the other 3 forbidden areas, let me and Wang Changyuan follow you." "That's right. Old Pei and I have already comprehended 2 ultimates. We don't need to follow that little rabbit to cultivate." Hearing this, Wang Changyuan immediately expressed his opinion. "Are you satisfied already? You have to know that the followers of the princesses and princes have comprehended 2 ultimates. Not to mention the dragon's elders, patriarchs, and even Lord Dragon King. Their strength has definitely reached the peak of perfection. Thus you all still need to work hard." Qin Feiyong said. "But if you go alone, we won't be at ease." Pei Tianhong frowned. "Thank you for your concern. But after being with me for so long, don't you know me? I won't die so easily." Qin Feiyong smiled. This Pei Tianhong looked at Wang Chongyuan. Wang Chongyuan shrugged, indicating that there was nothing he could do. Pei Tianhong smiled bitterly, looked at Qin Feiyang and nodded. All right, we'll listen to you. Qin Feiyang smiled, then looked at them one by one as if he wanted to imprint their faces in his heart. Chapter 3459. Whoosh! With a piercing sound, the little rabbit appeared from the mountain below and landed in front of Qin Feiyang. Big brother, it's not much, right? Qin Feiyang chuckled. The little rabbit turned its head and the corner of its mouth twitched. This is not much. We have an agreement. Qin Feiyang was afraid that the little rabbit would change its mind and make everyone happy for nothing. Don't worry. Uncle Rabbit is a man of his word. The little rabbit waved its paw impatiently. Qin Feiyang heaved a sigh of relief and then looked at everyone with a smile. Why aren't you thanking Uncle Rabbit? Thank you, Uncle Rabbit. Everyone's face was full of smiles. Don't give me that. The little rabbit pursed its lips and then looked at Qin Feiyang with a mischievous smile. But to be honest, I have prepared a surprise for you. Surprise? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Madman and the others were also curious. This little rabbit was so powerful. The surprise it had prepared would definitely be extraordinary as well. But I can't tell you now. The little rabbit chuckled again. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Since it couldn't be said now, why did it say it? Deliberately whetting his appetite. Uncle Rabbit is deliberately whetting your appetite. You can slowly think about it, but Uncle Rabbit believes that you will never be able to figure it out. The little rabbit said proudly. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. With a wave of his hand, jars of black tortoise divine brew appeared in front of the little rabbit. There were at least 5 to 6 jars, piled up like a mountain in front of the little rabbit. So much? The little rabbit was stunned for a moment. Then its eyes lit up and saliva flowed out. Is it a lot? I thought it was too little. If he had known, he would have taken out less. After all, those brewers had worked hard to brew this black tortoise divine brew. Not much, not much. It's not even enough to fill the gaps between my teeth. The little rabbit was stunned and quickly shook its head. Then, with a wave of its paw, the black tortoise divine brew in front of it disappeared without a trace. Its appearance was a little funny. Qin Feiyang was speechless and asked, Then where are we going to cultivate? You? When the little rabbit heard this, she swept her eyes over the group of people. She shook her head and said, They can all go, but you cannot. I can't go? Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked in unison why. Madman and the others also looked at Little Rabbit suspiciously. If you go, then the surprise I prepared for you will be gone. Besides, aren't you going to the other 3 forbidden areas? How can Uncle Rabbit be so shameless as to waste your precious time? The little rabbit bared its teeth. You heard everything? Qin Feiyang asked. Of course. In the heaven cloud sea, there's nothing that Lord Rabbit doesn't know. The little rabbit smiled proudly, and then urged, Since you want to go to the other 3 forbidden areas, then hurry up and get on your way. Then I won't stay here to cultivate. I'll go take a look. Qin Feiyang said. He was really curious about this so-called surprise. No. Bunny shook her head. Qin Feiyang's face darkened. He originally didn't intend to stay here to cultivate. He was purely curious about what kind of cultivation place Bunny had arranged for everyone. But now he wasn't even allowed to take a look. This was too much. Bunny threatened, Are you going or not? If not, Uncle Rabbit will go back on his word. No, I'll go right away. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand. What was this? Then, he glanced at the white-eyed wolf and transmitted his voice. You pretended to cultivate with it. What kind of surprise is it? No problem. The white-eyed wolf smiled sinisterly. This kid was still crafty. But at this time, Bunny seemed to have seen through the trick of the man and wolf and said indifferently, Wolf cub, open the space-time transmission channel and get lost together. The man and wolf's expression froze. Do you need Uncle Rabbit to personally send you off? Bunny's eyes suddenly became unfriendly. No need. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf hurriedly shook their heads. What a joke. If it tricked them like last time and directly sent them to the resting place of the dragons, wouldn't that be a disaster? It was better to be tactful and obediently get lost. Qin Feiyong looked at Madman and the others and said with a smile, "Then you guys take care. You be careful too." Madman reminded. Qin Feiyong nodded. The white-eyed wolf looked at Bunny angrily and opened a space-time transmission channel. "Lord Ruler, wait." Suddenly, Pai Lupi and Theta Wong ran in front of Qin Feiyong and frowned. "We thought about it. We can't stay here to cultivate." "Why?" Qin Feiyong was suspicious. "Because Miss Fire Lotus, Black Panther, and the others have to stay here. If we also stay here, then who will care about the Black Tortoise world?" Pai Lupi said. "That's right. If no one cares about the Black Tortoise world, it will definitely be chaotic. Besides, the two of us don't come out to fight, and our talents aren't that good. There's no need to waste resources here." Theta Wong also said. "Just because of this?" Qin Feiyong asked with a smile. The two of them nodded. "Don't worry, the Black Tortoise world has already stabilized. Even if you guys aren't here, there won't be chaos like you imagined. As for fighting talent, I never thought about it that way. Moreover, the reason why I asked you guys to come here to cultivate is not for you to follow me out to fight in the future, but to let you guys have a certain degree of self-protection in times of danger. Similarly, when we have no time to split ourselves, you can also help us protect the creatures of the Black Tortoise world. After all, what if one day our enemies kill their way into the Black Tortoise world?" Qin Feiyong smiled slightly. The two of them looked at each other, not knowing how to answer. "Just stay here with peace of mind. In the future, the Black Tortoise world will definitely need you guys to manage it. Work hard now is also building a foundation for the future." Qin Feiyong smiled. "All right. Thank you, Lord Ruler, for your kindness. We will definitely work hard." The two of them bowed and said. Qin Feiyong nodded and patted their shoulders. Under everyone's gazes, he brought the white-eyed wolf and entered the space-time portal without looking back. "You guys follow Lord Rabbit. But there's one thing you have to understand. Since you're going to cultivate with Lord Rabbit, you have to listen to Lord Rabbit unconditionally. Otherwise, if Lord Rabbit gets angry, even if Qin Feiyong and the little lunatic intercede for you guys, it's useless. Let's go." As soon as the little rabbit finished speaking, the group of people immediately followed the little rabbit in a grandiose manner and swept down towards the mountains below. "This is too much. I think that surprise is just an excuse. In reality, it's afraid that we'll covet its divine item." In the sky above a certain mountain, the white-eyed wolf roared angrily. Qin Feiyong was slightly taken aback and asked suspiciously, "How do you know there's a divine item?" "It's obvious. With its strength, how could it not have a few powerful divine items?" The white-eyed wolf said. "Enough. Anyway, we don't plan to stay. What's there to be angry about? What should we do? We should be grateful. I hope that everyone can be reborn again at its place." Qin Feiyong smiled. The white-eyed wolf pursed his lips and asked, "Then we'll go to the other 3 forbidden areas now?" "There's no hurry. Let's go back to the Black Tortoise realm first and prepare some pills. If the other 3 forbidden areas also have restrictions, if we don't prepare in advance, we won't be able to move an inch. Also, I want to know where the princesses and princes of the dragons are currently resting. Let's see if there's a chance to kill 1 or 2. A cold light flashed in Qin Feiyong's eyes. "This is a good idea. Let's kill their arrogance first. This brother has the space-time law, so it's more convenient for me to come and go. I'll think of a way to investigate." The white-eyed wolf's eyes also flashed with cold light. "Then you be careful." Qin Feiyong nodded. "What a joke. If I can't even handle such a small matter, then wouldn't this brother's dignified reputation be undeserved?" After the white-eyed wolf finished speaking, he began to use the space-time law and quickly left. Dignified reputation? Undeserved reputation? Qin Feiyong was slightly taken aback. He reckoned that the word shameless was used to describe this guy. Swish. Immediately after, he also disappeared. The Alliance capital. "You're back." In a quiet courtyard, the silver-haired woman looked at the 2 white-haired old women who walked in and said with a smile, "In." The 2 nodded. "How's the investigation?" The silver-haired woman asked. "Whether it's Shui Tiansheng and the other 2 or Zhao Xiaojin, there's no clue. It's as if they've disappeared from the world." The 2 shook their heads. "Then there's no need to look." The The silver-haired woman waved her hand. No need to look? The two were stunned. If there's no accident, these people must have met up with Qin Feiyong. So no matter how hard we try, it's impossible to find them. The silver-haired woman shook her head. This guy was really amazing. No matter what he did it flawlessly. It seemed that he didn't find the wrong person. He was someone who could be used. Hearing this, the two old women couldn't help but have a trace of anger on their faces. They had been busy for a few days, but it turned out that they had been busy for nothing. What about my brothers and sisters? The silver-haired woman pondered for a while and asked again. We haven't found their whereabouts. They should be hiding and plotting in the dark. The two said. It seems that they've finally learned to be smart. If they're all out in the open, it's impossible to deal with Qin Feiyong and the others. So we must hide in the dark and wait for an opportunity to act. The silver-haired woman chuckled. Then do we need to hide? The two asked. We don't need to. Just wait and watch the show. As for next, you two go to the eastern continent and pay attention to my brother's movements. As soon as he leaves the Demon Land and enters the eastern continent, inform me immediately. The silver-haired woman was quite calm when she said this, but the two old women could faintly feel a trace of killing intent. Your Highness, you're not thinking of taking this opportunity to. The two looked at the silver-haired woman in surprise. But before they could finish speaking, the silver-haired woman suddenly looked at the two of them, and an invisible and terrifying pressure was emitted from her. The two of them immediately stopped talking and lowered their heads, seeming to carry a trace of fear. The silver-haired woman stared at the two of them. At this moment it felt as if something in the silver-haired woman's body was awakening, giving people a chilling feeling of horror. Chapter 3460. The atmosphere in the room was very solemn. The two white-haired old women were clearly perfect sovereigns who had mastered two types of profound meanings, but at this moment, their backs were quietly breaking out in cold sweat. Could be seen. They were really nervous now. But suddenly, the silver-haired woman smiled wittily and returned to her harmless appearance. She smiled and said, You two have watched me grow up, and I also treat you as family, so you don't have to be so nervous when facing me. Your Highness is too kind. The two hurriedly smiled apologetically. Okay. In the future, there are some things that you know in your heart, don't say it out loud. Let's go to the eastern continent. The silver-haired woman smiled. Okay. The two nodded, opened the space-time transmission channel, and turned to leave. The silver-haired woman looked at the two, picked up the teacup, put it at the corner of her mouth and gently sipped it. A faint bloodlight could be seen in her clear eyes. Black Tortoise Realm. Qin Feiyong stood above the ancient castle, looking at the current Devil's Land, and for a moment, he was somewhat unable to adapt. In the past, although everyone was busy cultivating and was relatively calm, at least he felt a sense of comfort in his heart that everyone was by his side and not alone. But now, as he scanned the empty Devil's Land and felt the deathly stillness, a sense of loneliness arose in his heart. Sigh. After a long time, Qin Feiyong sighed and entered the ancient castle's cultivation room. Everything here was the same as before. Moreover, whether it was the floor or the desk, there was not a speck of dust. Qin Feiyong knew that either Fire Lotus helped to clean it, or Pai Lupi helped to clean it. Although Fire Lotus and the others seemed to have not done anything these years, in fact, they had been taking care of him behind his back. It was just that these contributions were very difficult to see, and even if they saw it, no one would care. But in fact, these were the most important. This was because only by resolving the worries at the back could they concentrate fully and boldly fight outside without worry. Slowly get used to it. Qin Feiyong shook his head, walked to the altar and was slightly stunned. On the altar there were two pill furnaces. One of them was the former 7th grade divine furnace, the Heaven Flame divine furnace. As for the other pill furnace, he had never seen it before. Its size and shape were similar to the Heaven Flame divine cauldron. The only difference was the pattern on it. The totem of a giant flaming bird was engraved on the furnace. Every line was clear and full of charm. This was the divine beast vermilion bird. Qin Feiyong cut his finger and dripped a drop of blood to claim ownership. A stream of information immediately surged into his mind. The divine vermilion bird cauldron. A 10th grade divine grade pill furnace. This? Qin Fiyang was stunned. Since when did he have a 10th grade divine grade pill furnace? After thinking about it carefully, he remembered. This should be the pill furnace that Pei Tianhong mentioned back then. When they first entered the Devil Land, Pei Tianhong said that the Blood Hall not only had a lot of grade 9 and grade 9 divine pill fires and pill furnaces, but also a grade 10 divine pill fire and pill furnace. It seemed that Pei Tianhong was talking about this vermilion bird cauldron. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang looked at the nether devil flame hovering above and couldn't help but be stunned. The aura of the nether devil flame had also become much stronger. After careful analysis, he found that it had been upgraded to the 10th grade divine grade. Not bad. A smile crept onto Qin Feiyang's face. Although he wasn't refining pills now, the Fire Lotus didn't forget him. It helped him upgrade the level of the nether devil flame, and left him a pill furnace. I haven't refined pills for a long time, so I should be rusty. Qin Feiyang muttered and was about to refine pills, but suddenly looked at the iron box containing the 6-word divine formula and the pill scripture. There was a Qiankuan bag there. Looking at the Qiankuan bag suspiciously, Qin Feiyang picked it up and used his divine sense to look inside. He saw that there was a bag of pills inside. They were basically life-saving pills like the Divine Life Pill, the Divine Sun Pill, and the Yuan Hai Divine Pill. Suddenly, at the side he saw a very neatly folded piece of paper. Qin Feiyang picked up the small note and opened it. Young master, as long as you are lazy, I have refined pills for you in advance. Take them, don't be polite. Looking at this line of words, Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. This was Dan Wangcai's handwriting. It had to be said that this guy was really too considerate. Before leaving, he didn't forget to refine so many pills for him. However, was it because he was lazy that he didn't like to refine pills? It was clearly because he found it troublesome, okay? Thank you. Qin Feiyang muttered, raising his head to look at the vermilion bird cauldron and the nether devil flame, and laughed. It seems that in the future I won't be able to use you guys. Don't complain, don't blame me, blame Dan Wangcai for being too outstanding. The vermilion bird cauldron trembled. The nether devil flame also jumped. It was as if it was looking down on Qin Feiyang. Haha, Qin Feiyang laughed, turned around and walked out of the cultivation room, glanced at the hall of the castle, and then walked out of the castle in large strides. He then closed his eyes, and his perception quickly spread throughout the entire Black Tortoise realm. In the Sea of Blood, many creatures were donating blood. To be exact, everyone had never stopped, and the order of the major regions was still the same as before. Therefore, even if Pai Lupi, Theta Wang, and Hei Bao were not here, there would not be any chaos in the Black Tortoise realm. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's expression froze for a moment, then lowered his head and muttered to himself for a moment. With a thought, 2 figures appeared in front of him, a middle-aged man and a middle-aged woman. When the 2 of them appeared in the Devil's Land, they were also a little stunned, but when they saw Qin Feiyang standing opposite them, their expressions suddenly changed, and their eyes were filled with fear. Are you surprised? I will call you to the Devil's Land. Qin Feiyang looked at the 2 of them and smiled faintly. The 2 of them nodded timidly. These 2 people were Pei Tianhong's son and daughter, Pei Dason and Pei Hongyu. Qin Feiyang asked, "Where did old Pei and the others go? Do you know?" "We know." The 2 of them nodded, their faces full of envy and yearning. "This matter has nothing to do with you, so don't be envious. However, for old Pei's sake, I am willing to give you a chance," Qin Feiyang said. "Chance?" The siblings were stunned and quickly bowed. "Please give us your orders, young master, we will do our best." "Stop." Qin Feiyang stopped the 2 of them and said indifferently, "Don't say those useless things, I only look at your performance." The 2 of them nodded. "Understood. All right then. From now on, help me manage the Black Tortoise realm," Qin Feiyang said. Manage the Black Tortoise realm? The 2 of them were shocked. He actually gave them an important task? One had to know. This was not the Blood Hall back then but a real world. To be honest, they did not have the confidence to manage it. "Why? You don't have the confidence to manage it well?" Qin Feiyang asked. The 2 of them hesitated and nodded. "Yes." "Are you sure?" Qin Feiyang looked at them mockingly. "This." The 2 of them hesitated again. They said that they were confident because they wanted to seize this rare opportunity, but they really did not have the courage to be sure. Pei Hongyu looked up at Qin Feiyang and said with a flattering smile, "Young master, is there anyone who can guide us a little?" "No. Those who know how to manage have all gone to Sky Cloud Island." Qin Feiyang shook his head. The two of them fell silent again. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "If you can't do it, then forget it, don't force yourself." "No, no, no." The two of them quickly waved their hands. Qin Feiyang said, "You don't have to force yourself, but if I force you to manage the Black Tortoise realm, what if I mess it up?" "That won't happen. Although we are not in the Devil's Land, we know your principles. Protect the peace of the Black Tortoise realm and protect every living thing here." The two of them quickly said, "Not bad, you know this. All right, you can give it a try." After saying that, Qin Feiyang disappeared without a trace, leaving the brother and sister in a daze in the Devil's Land. Management, generally speaking, was very easy, but when it was really managed, one would know how difficult it was. Most importantly, with their current situation and position, they could not make any mistakes. Even if it was a small mistake, they were worried that they would anger Qin Feiyang. But they could not give up this opportunity to perform, it was too difficult. 2 days later at night, with a howl, the white-eyed wolf returned. How was it? Under the night sky, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf stood together like ghosts in the night. "It's a little strange." The white-eyed wolf frowned. "Strange?" Qin Feiyang was stunned and looked at it suspiciously. "Yes. I've been to all the big and small cities in the western and eastern continents, but there is no news about them. It's as if they suddenly disappeared from the world." The white-eyed wolf was incomparably angry. It had promised Qin Feiyang, but in the end there was nothing. It was really embarrassing. Disappeared from the world? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. This shouldn't be. Weren't these people here to hunt them down? Moreover, each of them had a sovereign divine weapon, so why were they hiding instead? The white-eyed wolf asked, "Do you think they felt that they couldn't beat us, so they returned to the dragon's nest?" Qin Feiyang said, "If it were you, after suffering such a big loss, would you run back?" "Of course not. If it were me, I would definitely fight to the death," the white-eyed wolf said proudly. "Isn't that right? I think they've already moved from the light to the dark. After the battle in the heavenly cloud sea, they should have realized that it is impossible to kill us in the light, so they went to the dark and waited for an opportunity to make a move." Qin Feiyang pondered. "Then they are still quite smart." The white-eyed wolf chuckled. "Don't underestimate them. After all, they are the princes and princesses of the dragons. Besides, without any brains, would the Dragon King dare to let them come out to hunt us down? It seems that it is impossible to kill one or two of them first." Qin Feiyang shook his head regretfully. "Then let's kill the princess of the Alliance capital." A cold light flashed in the white-eyed wolf's eyes. "Don't. She wants to use us, I also want to use her." "But why hasn't the prince of the Golden Dragon clan come out yet?" Qin Feiyang frowned. Compared to the other princes and princesses, he was more interested in the prince of the Golden Dragon clan. Chapter 3461. That's right. Not counting the days we've been out, it's already been several months in the Demon Land. 1 day is 5,000 years of time arake. 10 days is 50,000 years, 100 days is 500,000 years. He should have reconstructed his body. The white-eyed wolf couldn't help but frown. Suddenly, he looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise and asked. He wouldn't be hiding in the dark, waiting for an opportunity to make a move, right? Hearing this, Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and waved his hand. Maybe he's also staying in the dragon's nest to cultivate. Let's not make wild guesses. Anyway, that princess said she would help us keep an eye out, so let's wait. Wait. The white-eyed wolf was slightly stunned and asked, "Didn't you say we're going to the other 3 forbidden areas?" Qin Feiyang said, "Let's wait for a few more days. If there's still no news of that prince, we'll set off for the other 3 forbidden areas." Then which forbidden area should we go to first? The white-eyed wolf asked. The 4 forbidden areas were the Demon Land, the Heavy Region Land, the Death Glacier, and the Buried Gods Land. Naturally, they didn't need to go to the Demon Land. The Heavy Region Land, the Death Glacier, and the Buried Gods Land were all in different directions. Moreover, They didn't know if the forces in these 3 forbidden areas were friends or enemies of the dragons. If they were lucky and chose the dragon's opponent, they could find allies and fight the dragons together. Because the enemy of an enemy is a friend. But if they were unlucky and chose the dragons as an ally, it would undoubtedly be one disaster after another for them. But now, regarding the 4 forbidden areas, only the dragons knew a little about them. The other 3 forbidden areas were completely unknown. The only one who knew, Little Rabbit, refused to tell them, so now it was a test of their luck. The white-eyed wolf suddenly looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, "That little princess of the dragon should be familiar with the situation of the other 3 forbidden areas, right? Do you think she'll tell us? Although we're working together now, it's only limited to dealing with the crown prince of the dragons. As for the forces of the other 3 forbidden zones, since they can rule over their own forbidden zones, they must be existences that can contend against the dragons. What if these 3 forces really have a match for the dragons? Let's take a step back. Even if the 4 great forbidden zones are neither enemies nor friends, and they are all minding their own business and have nothing to do with each other, if the other 3 great forbidden zones were to receive the news and come out to join in the fun, the situation of the Sky Cloud realm would definitely become incomparably chaotic. I think the dragons wouldn't want to see such a scene. As for that woman, as the little princess of the dragons, although she has to deal with the first prince of the dragons, she definitely won't spoil the big picture or do anything that will harm the interests of the dragons. Qin Feiyang's analysis, although it was just a conjecture, was very convincing. That makes sense. The white-eyed wolf nodded. Suddenly, the white-eyed wolf's expression stiffened and said in surprise, "Then according to your analysis, is it possible that the dragons will stop us from going to the other 3 great forbidden zones?" "Stop us?" Qin Feiyang was taken aback. The white-eyed wolf nodded and said in a deep voice, "Think about it, if the other 3 great forbidden zones really have a match for the dragons, then the dragons are afraid that they will come out and intervene, so they will definitely find a way to block the news." Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled slightly when he heard this. This matter was not impossible. And the only way to block the news is to stop us from going to the other 3 great forbidden zones. That is to set up defenses at the entrances and exits of the 3 great forbidden zones. The white-eyed wolf's eyes flickered. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, looking at the white-eyed wolf, and said in surprise, "You're not bad, you can still think of this." "What do you mean? Could it be that in your eyes, this brother is all brawn and no brains?" The white-eyed wolf said angrily. No, I'm just very surprised, that's all." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and smiled. The white-eyed wolf looked at Qin Feiyang in disdain and said angrily, "If only Little Rabbit was willing to tell us directly, then we wouldn't have to think so hard here. How many brain cells would it hurt?" Qin Feiyang could not help but praise at first, but when he heard this, he could not help but roll his eyes. What expression? Did this brother say something wrong? It was originally a very easy matter to solve, but now you have to make it so troublesome. The white-eyed wolf shook his head. Actually, it is still unknown whether they will set up defenses or not. After all, in their opinion, we don't know that there is a hidden force in the other 3 great forbidden zones. However, since you have already raised this doubt, then I think we should still take precautions. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, looked at the white-eyed wolf and asked, "Then why don't we go and test it out first?" "How do we test it out?" The white-eyed wolf was doubtful. "Of course not. We will go there in person. If there is really a defense, then wouldn't we be walking into a trap if we go there?" Qin Feiyang said with a smile, and 6 incarnations immediately appeared around him. It seemed that the white-eyed wolf understood the appearance of these 6 incarnations, and was ready to use them to test it out. Because even if the incarnations were killed, Qin Feiyang would not be affected in any way. But why 6 incarnations? 3 great forbidden zones as long as there were 3 incarnations. Sometimes you are very smart, but sometimes you are very smart. Sometimes you are very smart, but sometimes you are very stupid. Qin Feiyang shook his head. "Can't you talk nicely?" Hearing this, the white-eyed wolf immediately glared at him. Qin Feiyang smiled helplessly and said, "Then how many entrances do you think there are to the Demon Land?" "Nonsense. Of course there is one. Are you really doubting my intelligence?" The white-eyed wolf replied without hesitation. "Wrong." Qin Feiyong waved his hand. Wrong? The white-eyed wolf was stunned. How could this be wrong? Think about it carefully, Qin Feiyong said. The white-eyed wolf frowned and lowered his head to recall. Suddenly, his expression froze, and he looked at Qin Feiyong with an embarrassed smile. There are two. Yes. One entrance in the eastern continent, one in the southern continent. These are two entrances. And the other three great forbidden zones are also connected between the two continents. Naturally, there are two entrances, Qin Feiyong said. Ha! Mistake. The white-eyed wolf was extremely embarrassed. He actually made such a low-level mistake. How embarrassing. Qin Feiyong waved his hand, and a middle-aged man appeared. It was Pei Dason. Young master. Pei Dason looked around in confusion. When he saw Qin Feiyong, he quickly bowed. Qin Feiyong asked, "You should know the coordinates of the 6 entrances to the Heavy Region, Land of Buried Gods, and Death Glacier, right?" "I know this." Pei Dason nodded. As Pei Tianhong's son and a perfect realm sovereign, his understanding of the Sky Cloud realm was naturally far beyond ordinary people. "All right, give them the coordinates," Qin Feiyong said. "All right." Pei Dason nodded and said the coordinates one by one. "Go." Qin Feiyong looked at the 6 incarnations and smiled. "Understood." The 6 incarnations nodded and looked at the white-eyed wolf, waiting for it to open the space-time teleportation channel. "In the end, you still have to rely on me." The white-eyed wolf smiled proudly. With a wave of its paw, 6 space-time teleportation channels opened at the same time. Qin Feiyong and the 6 incarnations couldn't help but roll their eyes at the white-eyed wolf. Before one of the incarnations left, he turned his head to look at Qin Feiyong and said, "Main body, you should hurry up and comprehend the laws of space as well. Otherwise, a certain guy will act in front of us every day." "I'll try." Qin Feiyong smiled bitterly. Was this something that could be comprehended so easily? What's going on? Pei Dason looked at Qin Feiyong and the white-eyed wolf suspiciously. "Your mission is complete." Qin Feiyong didn't explain. With a wave of his hand, he sent Pei Dason to the Black Tortoise realm. "Why did you ask Pei Dason to come out?" The white-eyed wolf was puzzled. Qin Feiyong said, "I asked him and Pei Hongyu to help manage the Black Tortoise realm." "Let them manage? Are you kidding me? Aren't you afraid that they'll embezzle?" The white-eyed wolf frowned. "If they really dare to do that, believe me, we don't need to do anything. Pei Tianhong won't let them off easily. Moreover, I let them enter the Devil's Land because of old Pei. After all, they are his children. If the two of them have really turned over a new leaf, it's fine to put them in an important position." Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. The white-eyed wolf said, "But don't forget that their son died in our hands." "I didn't forget. But their son is also old Pei's grandson. If old Pei can think it through, they should be able to think it through too. And I heard from Fire Lotus that the two of them have already given birth to several children in Zhongzhou." Qin Feiyong smiled. "So fast?" The white-eyed wolf was stunned. "Is it fast? The Black Tortoise realm has been here for hundreds of thousands of years." Qin Feiyong shook his head. "Compared to ordinary people, they are definitely slow. But compared to you and little lunatic, understand it yourself." The white-eyed wolf snickered. Qin Feiyong's face darkened. He glared fiercely at the white-eyed wolf, and then closed his eyes to sense the situation of his incarnation. Speaking of children, who didn't want to have a son or a daughter? But not everyone could have their wish fulfilled, because many people had their own difficulties. Back to the 6 incarnations. They descended above the 6 entrances almost at the same time. And as soon as they appeared, they directly rushed toward the 3 forbidden areas. But at the same time, boom! Below the 6 entrances, a terrifying divine might erupted. Like a tide, it rushed toward the 6 incarnations. Without any suspense, the 6 incarnations were annihilated on the spot. "What? It's actually not his original body." Immediately, an angry voice sounded from the 6 entrances. At the same time when the 6 incarnations were annihilated, Qin Feiyong suddenly opened his eyes. 2 cold lights burst out. Someone really set up defenses? The white-eyed wolf was surprised. "Yes, there are defenses at all 6 entrances." Qin Feiyong nodded. "Damn, this is really crazy. The white-eyed wolf raised his eyebrows. This means that they really don't want the other 3 forbidden areas to participate. Qin Feiyong sneered. Then does this mean that the dragons and the 3 forbidden areas are enemies? The white-eyed wolf asked. We can't jump to conclusions too early. It's possible that they simply don't want the 3 forbidden areas to participate. However, judging from the current situation, even if the 4 forbidden areas aren't enemies, their relationship shouldn't be that good. In that case, it's considered good news for us. At least we don't have to face the joint suppression of the 4 forbidden areas. Maybe we can really find a reliable ally when the time comes. Qin Feiyong thought for a while and said with a smile, it seems that we have to go to the 3 forbidden areas. The white-eyed wolf pondered for a while and said, yes. Qin Feiyong nodded. You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.